好，欢迎来到赛前采访，邀请到了 AL 的打手 Tarzan， 先跟大家打个招呼吧。
大家好，我是 AL 打野 Tarzan。
欢迎 Tarzan。那相信队伍在积极的适应第3赛段的节奏和赛程，想问一下，最近大家努力的方向是围绕哪些做了复盘呢？
就首先我们调整好我们状态吧，然后我们游戏内容和就英雄有限机，我们开会了很多时间吧。
那其实 Tarzan 选手呢，一直以来也是队内的节奏发动机。今天你们的对手西安 WE， 他们的对面的打野位置也是他们很关键的一个点嘛，所以你觉得对上他们会有哪些期待吗
？Monkey 选手的话，他比较喜欢前期节奏吧，所以我们今天打 W 的话就注意前期。
好的，谢谢 Tarzan， 期待你们在赛场的发挥。LPL 第3赛段常规赛组内赛第3周第3日 ，AL 对阵西安 WE 即将开始 ，LPL 无畏尽巅峰。
Into our first and only series today. Reminder, again, the messages are pinned in each of the chats. Second series today has been postponed due to a typhoon. Very understandable. And we're into that first draft. So, anyone's legend banning away the Scion and the Skarner. I mean, does that mean that's interesting? Because of the way that Trundle interacts with drafts nowadays, typically you're okay not banning them, banning tanks, and instead taking a Trundle instead. But I suppose what they didn't want to do is give up Trundle Scion, Trundle Ornn in the first round. But at that point, don't you just ban the Trundle instead of banning the tanks? I suppose at that point you'd still have still have that tank to deal with. Thanks for the follows, by the way, Fax, I do appreciate it. Pantheon banned away last. So they really didn't want to give a tank topside over towards WE. To be honest, I thought they were very good around playing around tanks last split, but something which they fell away from a little bit towards this one, really. They play more towards carries towards Cube now. Not that I think that he's been that successful in the carries, but he's been playing them more. Trundle first pick. Wow, Trundle first pick. Ban the Scion, take the Trundle. Yeah, you can go towards Gwen or Rumble. They choose the Rumble, but you can still... hang on. Whoa. You can still take Ornn, though. I actually think it's a big mistake to not take the Gwen. They take the Talia, which is Karis's comfort pick, and one that W tend to use more. But don't you just lock in the Ornn now for Flandre? Isn't that just an easy slam dunk? Orianna, Ornn, that gives you range. It gives you winning lanes. Ornn does do very well into the Rumble too, as we've seen recently. Yeah, you pick the Ornn. Trundle Ornn has become the broken topside combo this split. And the Orianna as well. So you have decent lane of the Ornn versus the Rumble. You have a winning lane of the Orianna versus the Talia. You have a tank in the top lane that can't really be denied into double AP solo laners, so you can go stack MR. You're not feeling bad about this, I think, as anyone's legend at all. Alistair locked in for Vampire. That's a tank which can ignore the Trundle ultimate, which we've talked about many times before on the stream. Not going to take the Vi with Talia. I think right now Vi has been so badly nerfed that people don't want to see it as a priority pick now. And also Alistair is the only tank which can survive Trundle's ultimate, because his ultimate is damage reduction, not resists. Trundle steals resists, not damage reduction. You can't do that, so... Okay, picks and bans. I say that, we've been in them this whole time. Bans for the second phase, largely focused on the bottom side, obviously, with a little bit of threat from jungle, I suppose. I know Legend could ban away something like the Wukong, they could ban away Jarvan. They ban away Viego. Monkey is a big Viego player. Second round, we have seen more of Aphelios coming through. Aphelios versus Ornn is not fantastic, though. I wouldn't expect that to be locked in. I'd expect something with a bit more mobility. But that's, something like the Corki. You can't have the Circus, that's been banned away. So they do go towards that. Early game comp now from WE. Talia, Rumble, Corki, all kind of 1-2 item spiking champions. Not necessarily about the hyper late scaling. Hey Sam, how's it going?
So bad.
Whereas AL, they see you now see the full bot lane of WE, and you can counter that. That's kind of rough for WE actually. Yeah, you know what? Kais looks pretty damn fine to me. That gets locked in. You can lock in a Nautilus now as well if you'd like, or Rel. I think Rel's fine too. Like either of these are completely fine. Rakan also not bad here because don't have to be primary engaged because there's an Ornn on your team. All of these are completely fine options to me. Really, it's what Kyle's feeling on the day. I think actually the Rakan's pretty good because it allows you to get into and out of the fights and has a better laning phase versus the Alistar than something like the Nautilus or the Rel most of the time. So that'll get locked in. Last pick now from Monkey in the jungle. Rarely do you see a last pick jungle.
It is Monkey though.
I don't know if I like the Vi. I mean, Vi hard diving into a team with the
Trundle.
I think. I mean, the Cataclysm can get broken by the Ornn as well. I also think, and also one of my big problems about Jarvan is that once Jarvan is into a fight, a lot of the time he doesn't get out of it. Gone are the days where you'd flash ult, flag drag out easily. I just don't think that's enough value. I think you need to flag drag and Cataclysm in to have value. You are into a tank in the Ornn. You are into a tanky-ish Trundle. I think W have been comprehensively outdrafted here. I think that their team fights spike very hard on 1-2, but I think that their lanes are all even to bad against anyone's Legend, and I think they get hard outscaled in 5v5.
Yeah, I kind of feel like Jarvan has become the new flavor of Vi. Like we're playing very similar idea, but very obvious how you play a team fight, how you start a comp. It's Jarvan, I go in, big target where everyone else needs to aim their skill shots. Life is good.
However, much like the Vi, which I'm sure you're going to go on as well, it doesn't hide the flaws of the champion. While it might be comfortable, it doesn't mean it can't be countered. It doesn't mean that it isn't picked in situations where it's not that good. People pick it because it's comfortable, not because it's always effective.
Yeah, it's comfortable and simple on a comp perspective, right? Like, okay, what are we doing this game? We follow the Jarvan. And again, I simplify the simple champion, but the point kind of stands, right? You've got Jarvan, Taliyah, Rumble. We all place our skill shots at the same place, at the same time, and theoretically good things happen. But the counters are there, and they are relatively dangerous ones from anyone's Legend. Yeah, and the AL have had a bit of a rocky start back to regular season stuff. And sometimes that is just life. But onto the Rift we go for our first and only series of the day. Any thoughts out there to those in Shanghai having to deal with all the typhoon stuff, and hopefully we'll get that second series another day soon enough. Back to live we go. A lot of yelling going on here. WE would like, I think, to get a bit of a recovery curve on. AL02, WE03, for very different reasons, I think. WE in particular have looked a little bit lackluster, whereas AL have won their first games just fine. It's games 2 and 3 we've gone, what on earth was happening there? Some slightly wonky drafts, some slightly wonky Tarzan play. You know, those are the two players we were praising the most internationally. Tarbo's a player, but you know what I mean. Daeun and Vampire. I've walked across the wards. There were known quantities there, so Kyle will walk up and whack the Corki a little bit. Gets the Gleaming Quill off. Doesn't really lead to all that much, though. Kyle getting a few nice autos down here on the Rakan. Not always a guarantee, actually, at the level 1. Nice backstep on the Foss Bomb. Again, Alistar level 1, notoriously very lackluster. Headbutts the Kaiser away, denies ACS there. Tell you, missing a second Foss Bomb is a bit rough, though. He's not hit the wave with that at all. I'm assuming they are aware they're going to get shoved in here, so that's fine. So looking for the trades, but missing both of them really sucks. Because Hope and Kyle have certainly not missed a lot of their skill shots on the other side. It's in a very challenging scenario. Too much seen here. Hope on a very early reset, actually. To try and get out of the lane early on, having got that early backing. Got themselves a longsword. No cull. I wonder what that might have in the back there. But they did win the early level 1 to 2 quite happily. An unusually early swap.
Wow, really swapping around. I have to say, not understanding exactly why that is.
No,
I think their lanes are fine. I think that Ornn does completely fine into Rumble. I think that the Kai'Sa Khan should be winning versus the Corki and the Alistar, unless they have some kind of jungle plan planned. But, you know, Tarzan's on the Trundle and the Kyle's on the Rakan. It's not the easiest dive, actually. Shanks gets a great trade there onto Karis. Does hit the QW and the E there. Looked like it was just about to miss with that combo coming through. What Tarzan might do is try and get a play around first camps coming through. Okay, maybe this is it instead. Flandre set up the wave to freeze that cube. If they saw an angle with the waves to freeze out the Rumble, that actually can be valuable. Because you see right now that Ornn is getting part of this farm. Cube will be able to reset the wave, push in the wave though. So I don't know, man. This is so weird.
They want to try and get this gank on. Alistar is coming. Pillar behind. Vampire now coming at the level 3. So they'll get the flash off Cube.
They will, but the wave just hit the tower, so they're missing some minions there. They probably missed about 3 or 4 minions. Yeah, Hope does end up missing that. This is not the cleanest early game plan. Vampire's going to walk up towards that brush. He does have combo. Gets knocked up.
A bit of damage there on the Vampire. Heal in turn. Of course, Carl burned that one earlier. Doesn't lead to all that much for Tarzan. Running away the other direction is now in a 1v3. Needs to be a bit wary, especially with Monkey coming behind here. With the flag and drag, little folk behind. Flashes over the wall, gets the phase rush and should get out.
I was surprised he lived there. I guess he had just enough HP. I thought a flash auto could potentially, or 2, I suppose, at that point, kill. So it ends up being Summoners down on Vampire, Flash down on Tarzan, and also the heal down on Kyle. All this from a very early swap where I suppose Hope has come out to a 10 CS lead, so I suppose that has been that Tian has ended up missing some farm. Hex flash forward, well, rather not forward, backwards was charged up. And AL gets slide advantage somehow out of that.
Yeah, very unusual. I think it's one of those ones where I think I would need to go back and VOD review like wave states and all those kinds of things, because it's very possible that we just missed a really cool reason for why the lane swap came on through. They did get the shove bot side, they did get that reset. It was very deliberately a decision by anyone's legend.
You know
it's
what?
Just a bit of a perplexing one.
This is why, by the way, folks, if you don't appreciate analysts' desks, if this is where having an analyst desk after the show would be really, really good, because I can't rewind and you know, needle through everything which happened leading up to that lane swap, but they would be able to. That's one of the beauties
of it. With the telestrator and everything, which is nice. Hope has just had to flash there. Kyle with a double knocker. We don't need an analyst test for that one quite yet, though I'm sure they too would be entertained by violence. They often are. I know what we're all like as casters.
Of course.
Nice flash away from her, but it was required there. Taeyun did burn his barrier, worth noting.
Yeah, Vampire's been getting some decent combos through. The thing is, the next time the Rakan hits a Q, that's, you know, a lot of sustained backup that Vampire had no flash to immediately force the fight. Can hold position in that brush and hex flash out of it, but they are still down a good 10 CS, which is not fantastic. If Kai'Sa starts to get ahead of the game, Kai'Sa's going to be a big problem. W don't have the best ability to stop that champion from doing pretty ridiculous things in team fights. Because one of the problems about the Jarvan is, hang on, level 6 could, I was wondering actually if shockwaves would be used by Shanks here.
Debating it, I am certain.
Yeah, the problem is in the early levels. Oh, by the way, he's doing an interesting thing there too. He's splitting points between W and Q.
Oh yeah, going for the slightly more mixed builds. Of course, nice damage there onto WE's bot side. Vampire doing a decent job of body blocking things like the Q and the W there.
And also stopping the passive coming through with that. Because the last couple of trades, actually, Kai'Sa not able to get the passive, which meant it was slightly more palatable. Not fantastic, but still slightly better on that point. Vampire can teleport back out onto the map. That is going to be... Yep, that's Vampire coming through. But the wave's already been pushed in. Hoping Kyle will be able to get the wave into tower. Go up to a 20 CS lead.
Oh, gosh.
Jesus Christ.
They're losing this whole wave.
And Flandre on the other side is down a little bit, but he's not unhappy with the situation too. I mean, it doesn't matter if the Ornn's slightly behind the Rumble. Again, 10 CS for him is not the same as 10 CS for the Corki, who's meant to be an early game champion. Being behind 20 CS on the Corki is a massive low roll on the CS department.
It is Dark Seal early for Shanks, and you did call it out, but yeah, Shanks kind of doing the mixed leveling of the command attack and the command dissonance. I know there's been metas in the past where people max W, but it's often been, in general, just max command attack.
Around release, there was a W max build. Recently, as in like last year, I think it was it Scout that was doing that? There was a Chinese mid laner that was playing, as in an LPL
Maybe
mid
it was
laner.
Shanks.
playing WMAX quite a lot. Ah, shit, there was another player as well.
Faker doing it occasionally.
Jackies in the LEC did it.
I see.
Jackies in the LEC did it quite a bit. But what it means is that you have less ball mobility, but you have really good heavy trading. It used to be the problem where it was too mana intensive to do that, which is the problem on release as well. If you did WMAX, it would just run you out of mana very, very quickly.
The increase on it was ridiculous.
Whereas you can see it now, he is going towards the 3 points there, but he put a second point into the W early, which I found quite interesting.
And there is that third point now. Let's put it in.
So he's tandem maxing them. Tarzan going up towards the grubs first now. Alistair coming over. One secured. Cataclysm in.
Into the headbutt pulverized, but I don't think Tarzan cares. He's just putting a subjugate down. Into the backline goes home. Shockwave after. On top of the Kaiser gets value. Karis has to flash out the back of the pit, but that means a lot of your damage is now not in position. TP's rolling. This will be Cube coming in with an equalizer potentially.
Karis is on the slang, can get a flick back. Has to be good though. Equalizer, yeah, that's the next big thing.
Flash, headbutt, pulve, not the best angle, but the flick back is solid. Do they get the damage after? I don't know. Tarzan low. Gonna get the pillar down to Karis. Trying to get value. Kyle body blocking the threaded volleys. Hope trying to get value. Taeyun in danger. Has got the barrier to stop the clockwork wind up as Hope goes down. AL split the fight and end up falling. Burn down goes Cube. And in the jungle, look, Monkey is there still.
And Flandre never teleports. What's he doing? Anyone's Legend had a great winning angle there to get the grubs afterwards. Rakan might die here as well. I don't think his W's on cooldown. WE pick up the fight after a bad entry to it. The flick back was not comboed up with the equalizer, but Anyone's Legend dropped the ball harder, and WE will end up getting 3 grubs because Flandre doesn't teleport.
And Shanks turns onto Taeyun. They split the fight, but then the barrier comes off cooldown, so Taeyun survives the last auto. And then the Orianna can't keep going. It's a disaster for AL.
You do end up getting the 1 kill in there, because Shanks ends up getting the shockwave onto Monkey, so the jungler dies early, and then you think, well, okay, Trundle's got press the attack active and has the Orianna shields and Rakan helping them. This is not a bad entry into the fight. Monkey dies very quickly, but then, yeah, the split of the fight is really poor. Tarzan goes in and tanks a little bit too much damage, so he can't fight that much either, and Ornn never teleports. Ornn just never teleports, and if he was never going to teleport, then, well, you shouldn't be taking this fight. Luckily, the equalizer is poor from Cube and means that the extra damage doesn't easily come down onto Tarzan and Kyle, but what a strange fight.
It really was, and obviously on the other side we've seen Taeyun survive, and they can't get onto Karis, who ran out of mana, and at this point you just have to sack a player, just give it up. Not lose everyone, it gets really awful.
Still, I mean, WE, they'll be happy with the 3 grubs there, considering the situation. Really should have lost that fight given the entry to it, but that's a sigh of relief, really. Shanks doesn't have flash. Roaming into the mid lane.
Does just sidestep the massive shutback and shockwaves too.
That is
that's not coming on over. It can get worse, yeah.
He just cancelled the Alistair combo too. Vampire got it. Shockwave out of his headbutt.
Oh, quickness comes on down before the seismic shot into the grand entrance on Vampire, who's got himself some unbreakable will. They're still ready. A double headbutt pulverized, but it goes down regardless. AL outplaying the mid lane.
Shanks breaks WE's ankles, legs, and everything upwards. He shockwaves the Alistair out of the combo, which means that there's no follow-up. After sidestepping the Cataclysm, kind of surrounded shove back, ends up dodging everything he needs to. Massive play from Shanks after they just gave up an easy fight to WE around the grubs.
Did look like in the picture-in-picture, Flandre forced to burn his ult to clear the wave there, and does so.
That might have been around the, that was at the play around the grubs, because he had the ult on cooldown around then, and we were going to say, well, why didn't he teleport? Perhaps he was thinking, okay, well, I don't think he was forced to either, because he was full HP. He used the ultimate, and then AL still stuck around on the top side, so for me, that's just, bluntly miscommunication between the team. If you know you don't have the Ornn ult, and they don't want to teleport in, that is a very different situation. Vampire behind Karis there. Forcing Shanks a little bit back. Suppose Shanks was a little bit worried about stepping up to the wave, not knowing where potentially Monkey was either, but does mean that he loses a plate or 2 in the mid lane.
Okay, we have got the date, by the way, of when BLG versus IG will be. August 28th. It's going a long, long way into the future, so we'll have to wait for that one a little later, but right now there's violence occurring around the dragon. Chose the wrong moment to bring that little tidbit to all of you back home.
Not a great ult there. Monkey can get a Cataclysm in. Tarzan flashes away.
Does get himself a little bit split off. Now turning around a bit here. Damage from Karis. Equalizer is solid, but Tarzan still gets to walk out, not burn down. Flandre left alone. Carlo can get to the backside, though. Quickness gets Hope into the backside. Great shockwave! It's brutal, but Hope flashing away, staying alive. They've lost the Ori. It's not quite enough. It ends up being a 1-for-1 as Shanks falls at the back end.
And once again, the play really highlighted by Flandre's lack of impact. The ultimate ultimate, if it was used a little later, I think would have been incredibly powerful, but didn't have it. Used it at the entry to a non-fight. WE end up taking the 1-for-1, despite what looked like a poor fight at the back end of it with a wonderful shockwave combo. They walk away with a dragon. They walk away fairly happy, given how the situation was. They should have lost that fight, but we said that about the Grubs. They ended up winning both those plays.
Credit to Monkey, gets Hope into a difficult position, has to flash barrier and ult out, or as we used the ult already, so the moment that went down, a lot easier to pin the Kai'Sa down. We'll have a look again, because you're right, the ult from the Ornn doesn't really get what they're after.
No, it's a poor ultimate again from Flandre, and he puts himself out of position to do this. Tarzan also doesn't have flash, doesn't have ultimate too. He used that ult in the mid lane to kill Vampire a little while ago. Actually, no, should have. I'm not sure where he ended up using it then. I forgot about that. But yeah, I guess the damage from Annual's Legend is a little bit far away, but the shockwave combo is really good. It's a 3-man shockwave. I think they thought it was going to deny the flag drag. It doesn't end up doing so. If it cancelled the flag drag, I think they end up confidently winning that fight. Not to be, though.
Monkey getting that flag and drag off partway through it, I think, is pretty valuable, to be honest. That could have changed things greatly. And again, the game state, not the end of the world. AL up 1,000 gold, so they're all right on that front, but it's the objective stacking on the other side for W, who just picked a feat of strength because they got the second dragon, they got the grubs. They're all right as well, honestly, all things said and done.
Hey, Kat, how's it going? Thank you for the raid, though. And welcome in all the viewers. So, Anyone's Legends, they do have a scaling comp. Exhaust, hang on. Exhaust was just dropped onto Kyle. I suppose that's there just because Spellbook wanted to get rid of that one, but Exhaust is quite a valuable one. Surprised he ended up using that. Tarzan on the other side, do they do anything around that? No, can't really die over the Trundle and an Ornn. Anyone's Legend are a scaling team, and they are still ahead of the game. WE, while they might have the dopamine of winning the fights now, I do think that runs out after a point. I think that we're going to get to a point where Shanks will have Seraphs, and I think he will go towards an earlier Zhonya's as well. I think a Zhonya's is very powerful in this comp to deny some of the damage, like, you know, the immediate follow-up of the Talir combo. And as soon as you get to that point, I think WE, that's where a lot of the good feelings and the good vibes start to run out.
Yeah, that's the one. Exactly a done deal, yeah. I think AL, some almost great fights with some slight misexecutions have come into some weird spots. And credit to WE as well. I know we're obviously focusing a little bit here as AL, but I think WE as well, considering we had some concerns about how challenging their comp might play into AL's. Not that it's a bad comp in and of itself, it's more of a matchup issue. They've actually done a fairly good job of playing these fights out.
Herald now started. I think Monkey's had a good game, actually.
Yeah.
I think the rest of the team, a little bit back and forth. I mean, Vampire's been decent in the fights too. Monkey Vampire, decent game from them to teleport towards the bot side. 3 grubs make it much easier to take this. Should be Shanks coming in. We'll be able to save the turret. And now because Oriana's stationed down here, likely able to wave clear, add infinitum, so Rumble will not be getting hands on that tower as soon.
Is Seraph's first on the Oriana? I think I can understand that into what is a fairly heavy burst comp, so it gives you that extra bit of survivability. Does mean your upfront burst not the highest.
Yeah, we were just talking about like the Seraphs into the Zhonya's. Yes. It's such a broken combo too, and I think like in the mid game when that comes online, I mean you probably do need like a Leandri
at
second.
some point.
Once you get to about 2.5 items with the Seekers, I think that really breaks this game, right? Because if you get to go golden in the middle of the fight against these bunched up kind of clumped up engage combos that W are looking for, I think that you get to survive through to
at least a
second
shockwave,
combo, buy some, and also what you can do if Flandre uses his ult correctly the next few times, you wait for that engage to come through onto the Oriana, you use the ults as disengage from the Ornn, where they jump in, and as the Zhonya's is kind of wearing off from the Oriana, the ultimate is already flying across the team fight and forcing WE to break up their engage, and it gives a window of time for the Oriana to survive underneath the hook call of the Forge God.
Indeed. Harris gets to go towards this bot side, though. Does pick up that turret. So first turret of the game going towards W. Of course, doesn't lead towards anything at this point because the feats of strength have always been claimed. And first turret gold isn't a thing anymore. It's just regular turret gold, isn't it?
No. I don't mind that. I have to say, I don't know. I prefer kind of like First Blood giving a little bit of extra gold, because First Blood doesn't do that anymore as well, because feats of strength, blah, blah, blah. Remember it was just First Blood that gave you the feats of strength thing?
Yeah, that was a little bit much.
That was a little unwise. That was a little unwise.
I remember hating that as a jungler, because you could have finished 2 camps and already have lost feats of strength. It was very annoying.
Tarzan popping the ult onto Cube here. No flash still.
A really good pillar gank just walks out of a bush.
Well, that's a Trundle with an item for you. Trundle disgustingly broken. Tarzan pretty damn good on the pick as well. 2-1 and 2. Triforce completed. Thanks to the stream streaks, by the way. There's been like 5 or 6 people which have done that across it. A potential engage coming across the side. Karis does have flash and ult to make something happen. 3 grubs. use the pressure down turret, but they can't take it completely.
Going with the quickness in, actually trying to get onto Taeyun, who flashes away himself. What about Tarzan? TP behind, Weaver's wall. Buying time puts Tarzan on the wrong side. Flashed out in a really good location. Now Shank's looking for more. They're going to kill off the Corki, knock into the wall. Shockwave after, onto Karis, who will heal and pray that he can survive. No chance, down for the count, and now they need to back out.
What started as WE trying to push out mid lane tower ends up leaving them in a bit of a lurch after they retreat from it in a scattered formation. You can see that the bot lane of WE separated from the rest of the team, and AL pounce. Much better impact from Flandre. This time, great ultimate, great combo. Anyone's Legend, with that success, will be bought the dragon, will get themselves about 2,000 gold ahead, and they'll get some chance to catch some side waves as well. This is where the game starts to turn around. WE, they have an earlier game comp, and I feel like that window of time is starting to wear off now. And this isn't even the best angle from Anyone's Legend. I mean, the pillar is arguably anti-synergy. The Tarzan didn't have ult, so he was a little bit squishier too, but W just couldn't reform their battle lines. They're retreating in a very panicked motion.
I did. Worth noting here, Vampire does have the smite in inventory. I wonder whether he was trying to set that up for a dragon there. Unfortunately, now going to have to use it somewhere else. Hits Kyle briefly. Supportal combat.
Yeah.
Cow.
Yeah, it's a battle as old as time as they heal up completely for the honey fruit afterwards. This is a little bit less though. The manatee is...
Yeah, manatee's a little bit...
Yeah,
the huge manatee.
Oh, the huge manatee.
Such a good pun.
Oh, the megapode.
The thing is, one of my favourite bits of music that Riot ever did was the Welcome to Planet Earth.
Oh yeah.
And it's just got the manatee noises.
So that's funny. However, what I will say is the dubstep remix of it was not good.
No, yeah, but
to the point where I think it was either on World or MSI. I remember it coming for a break, and Deficio go like, we were listening to the music, if that's what you can call it. Flandre has ult, does have flash, choosing not to use either right now.
Being flambéed.
He is very tanky though at the 2 items. Yeah, the Flandre flambe. I appreciate that.
I watched Alex's eyebrows go up as he was speaking, as he realised what I'd said.
Yeah. You know, one time I was I was on a holiday this one time, and I ordered a pancake, like a crepe flambe, and this one dude who obviously probably owned the restaurant but wasn't there for anything else, just wheeled out like the thing to do it on, did it on the table. It was very, very cool. Monkey, yeah, he's dead.
And he just went straight into Kyle, who was waiting for him on the other side with the quickness. That's just unfair. Goodbye, Monkey.
W have had a pretty horrid start towards this split. Even a combo into Vampire is going to leave him without his locket, without his Celestial Opposition, without some HP as well. He's in less of a position to engage now.
He's the only one
has Flash, has Smite. I just don't know if he's ever really going to be able to be given. He has Flash, he has Smite, he has Ult.
This is
all right, Vampire, let's see it. Let's see what you got.
Oh, he's not going to be given the
He got nothing. He got nothing.
All I'm saying is I would have gone for the headbutt Flash Smite for the full combo value.
You know what, Sam? That would have been so Chad as well. Flandre flashed out of the combos. He overstays a little weird game from Flandre, where you know, he is 2-1 and 2. He's had a decent moment or two now later on into the game, but I don't think his start of the game was that fantastic actually. I think him not participating that much really did hurt his team in some ways.
Looking to die Flandre there. Vampire was going for the flank angle. He's found out now. He's in a tricky position, makes his will unbreakable. The turret survived, the wave is cleared. Flandre left on about 20% HP though. WE really looking
Flash
for
Cataclysm, equalizer follow-up was the angle there. There's no Flash on Monkey. That'll be a crucial part of the Flash Cataclysm combo.
I posit to you the grayed out F button.
Yes, quite. It's a D key there though, sadly.
They've all got a flash
hang on a
on
second.
D.
Karis could be in a bit of trouble here. I was actually wondering if there's a shockwave. Shanks. There is.
He knows.
There's literally a giant ass timer. There's a countdown around the teleport location, and you can't land the bloody shockwave. Are you kidding me? Takes the turret. Karis will make it out completely fine there, though. But come on, man.
He really wants those cinders. Actually, hang on. Overcomes anyone's legend.
There's no Alistair ult. Blast Cone's out.
Cone. Does he have enough to go further than that? Yeah, I think he's going to be all right. Zaya will walk into the jungle and pick up some camps. They are now up officially 2,000 gold. Feeling quite happy here. About a minute until Dragon would be sole point for WE, which they would love. The problem I am seeing with this statement is they are still down 2,000 gold and have no control over their own jungle or the river.
And that's a big problem, because again, this is a team which is meant to be spiking at this point. They're meant to be throwing their weight around the 2 items point. Anything after this point, I think they are... This is the end of their window of power in this game. After that point, I think it becomes a lot harder. Andre, yeah, he does have that potential to ult out of Fog of War, rake it across the team. 20 seconds now until Dragon, pushing through that mid wave. Shanks does have ult back, everyone has their ults back.
They've only got the 1 turret so far, actually. They don't have the turret in mid lane, which is why they're being so aggressive, forcing this pillar. Slows 3. Won't really pick anyone off, though.
Waves both cleared. Some poke coming through. Monkey dropping the standard. The vision. Celestial opposition blown. Kyle is not tanky.
Oh, he's gone.
Big mistake. Had flash, had heal. Well, didn't have the heal, but had the flash, choosing not to use it. Big mistake from the support.
Monkey eats a lot of damage as well, though. Now you just lost your jungler's, like, entire haste bar.
Shanks!
Shocking wave. That was appalling.
Anyone's Legend, I don't know. They've just been off form since they came back from internationals. Vampire on a great flank.
That's a wonderful angle. Now Shanks is in danger. Has his Seras pod. Gets to turn it around though. The corner of the forge god is solid enough, but actually already burning a couple down. Cube low, but not quite down. Hope into the backside with the Acathian raid. Brings the rumble down. Gets himself the Void Seeker and blows them all up. Who needs a mid laner?
Even Anyone's Legend at their worst are so formidable. WE get the easy pick up onto Kyle. They get the fantastic teleport flank from Vampire, and it is still not enough. Anyone's Legend will claim their dragon. They'll claim in the outer turret as well in the mid lane. And despite the considerations, the complaints, and the off-form nature of AL at the start of this split, starting 0-2, losing to BLG and to Weibo, they are, rather, it would have been Antoine Invictus Gaming, sorry, apologies there. They end up winning this fight. Shanks flashes away from the flag and drag just at the last gasp with, and it's a very good Ornn ult. The Ornn ult buys the disengage, and that has been such a big difference maker. It breaks the Cataclysm there too with the E, which gives the extended range to it. Yeah, Jarvan into Ornn can sometimes be really horrid because you just give extra knock-up locations, and all of this buys a ton of extra space, time, DPS for Hope on the Kai'Sa, who just goes mental after that point.
Does good stuff. Ornaments beginning to come on through. Already upgraded the Orianna. Now Vampire in a tricky position, is exhausted, forced to flash. Uses that critical summoner on the Alistair. Does have Hex Flash to work with. Can we get like a Chem Ghost at that point?
Hex Ghost. Chem Ghost.
You know, what was the one where they kind of used that horrible gook mist, you know, like the goopy mist stuff.
For what?
In Arcane, where they all come in and they're all in like the weird like chem spirit things, where they're kind of like using the grey mist or whatever it is.
Yeah, the grey. Yeah.
Grey, that's the
grey.
name of it.
Yeah. You mean like gassing the Undercity? Yeah.
That
was a hell of a plot point.
It was.
Jumping onto a tanky Trundle, not Monkey.
I think he's just dead here. Hope we'll get that kill. Gonna get Vampire to potentially fall down afterwards. Taeyun gets to Valkyrie out. Damage coming on down. Flash forward onto Taeyun, who gets shockwaved into dirt. Go Cube on the other side. Now surviving, but Karis gets the seismic. It means nothing. They're all dead. It's a triple over towards Hope. And Tarzan cleans up the rest of them.
This is just a disaster for W at this point. I think Vampire is actually having quite a good game.
Trying really hard.
Every time I see these creative angles, I actually think Vampire's been playing it out well. And, you know, I often have complaints and reservations about him on a strategic sense. You can't really blame any of that on him this game. I think Monkey, after having a good start to the game, has chosen poor engages and ended up being punished for them. And I guess Cube's been fine on the Rumble. I suppose he's the second best player, I think, in this game. But I think that Karis and Taeyun and Monkey, all of them will be having a rough review after this game. This is a very poor engage from Monkey and Vampire onto a tanky Trundle. That's not your target. You are now out of combos for the rest of the team fight. It's one of the big issues of Jarvan and Alistair, actually, is that when you use your combo, you don't really get a second one that quickly. If you're Leona or Nautilus, your second cooldowns tend to be actually not too far off. You can engage onto the first target and then, you know, wait a few seconds if the bad damage isn't quite there and you can follow it quite well, but not the case here. Now 10,000 gold advantage, Ornn items to everyone but one of his teammates from Flandre, and WE, they've just been blown off the rift.
Got an upgraded Kraken Slayer, the artist formerly known as Wormfallen Sacrifice. That was once upon a time the ornament name. Hex Flash from Vampire, killer, headbutt. Doesn't lead to all that much here. On towards the tier 2s we look. Hope with Baron buff empowering himself, staying a ways back. He's got the killer instinct to come join the fight potentially. Flandre empowering the minions in mid lane, and Monkey's trying to clear them out there. Mixed success.
Hope doing a ton of damage to the turret. That'll be gone. God, such a fed Kai'Sa. He's had no threat onto him. I think W have really struggled to hit the backline, and you know, this is quite a strange feature of this team. W when they start to oh bloody hell! Yeah, didn't realize you could cook a steak with a shockwave. Clockwork steak.
Do that one. Turns out we're not cooking with gas, we're cooking with electricity. Good value in there, and they'll get the inhibitor turret and the inhibitors in both mid and bot in this game. In a 5v4, looks pretty done to me.
Yeah, a bit of a poor moment there from Vampire not popping the ultimate. Again, he's actually not had the worst game here, but it's not like he's been without a stakes, dude. But then again, you really blame him after this kind of game. Game feels so done. It probably will be in a couple of minutes.
It can be a couple minutes, maybe just a few seconds, because anyone's legend
that'll
see
do
the
it.
angle, and they'll get Hope ulting in. The killer instinct sees the weakness in the under-strength WE. More violence to be found as Tarzan gets headbutted, but not onto the fountain. Vampire likely to fall. Triple kill towards Shanks. Make that a bit more. He gets a quadra to end the game out.
8-2 and 10. Shanks on the Orianna. Missed a few shockwaves, but hey, hit a couple at the end there to clean things up. Anyone's legend, much better composition. Much better drafting from them. I think WE, their drafting has been poor in this split so far, which has set them behind in their strategic plays in the game. It gives them a timer on some of their games. It's really set things up difficultly for them. And Anyone's Legend, easy-ish win actually from that first game. They could underperform and they could still end up winning there.
Hey folks, Initialise here, joined by Nymaera. We are here for a single series day. Very unusual, this one. We will give a bit of a heads up here as well, just to make sure that we did get this. I kind of mentioned it in-game, but it wasn't the best timing. We have officially heard that IG versus BLG is going to be postponed because of typhoons happening in Shanghai, so there is just no gameplay happening. However, because of scheduling stuff and the arena being used quite a lot, it's being postponed effectively a month, guys. 28th of August.
It'll be happening at the end of the split, basically, because you can't really put it into the game days beyond that point. So they'll be doing basically an extra show day at the end of the split. And, you know, credit to them, you do not mess around with safety, especially around stuff like, you know, natural disasters and weather events and stuff like that. You don't mess with that. So, Typhoon, I hope everyone's safe out there. And, yeah, I believe that there was, in a separate note as well, I believe there's also been an 8.8 earthquake off the coast of Hawaii, which may lead to a tsunami. I don't know whether that's happened or not yet, but I really hope that everyone's safe around there.
As I understand, and again, we'll double check, it's only off Gene Park, someone I follow on Twitter who lives out in Hawaii, who's been out in Hawaii a lot, saying that it looks like a lot of the warnings have been downgraded, so it's looking like things are okay. But obviously, I think it might be affecting places like Japan and a lot of the Southeast Asia as well. So, you know, lots of prayers out there. So for those of our viewers and stuff and everyone else out there, please do stay safe. And hopefully we can bring you a little entertainment while the weather is being a little bit crap.
A bit of calm in the storm. Okay, well, we'll take our break now, and we'll watch those highlights. And because it is only a one series day, that means I've got to get my horse game
Get it in quick.
Got to get it in quick.
Do you want to make you a coffee while you're doing that?
Yes, I would love that.
That can be arranged. I had to walk to work in a typhoon once.
What?
Oh yeah, I walked to. When I was out in Japan,
How drenched were you?
I'm not even joking. I had to hold my umbrella up forwards like a shield, and I had a circle on the front of me that was dry because the rain was going sideways and everything else was soaked.
That is ridiculous.
I actually got. I'm not even joking. I got a little tardy note from my school that I was working at because I stopped in my changing room to change into dry trousers.
Are you kidding me? Well, I'm not gonna lie. The
vice principal was a very stickler. It was a big stickler on timing.
I do love Japan, but and a whole bunch of things, but yeah, that's too far. But
all of this is to say, I completely sympathise for people who have to deal with typhoons. They are miserable. I don't rate walking to work in them, and I hope you guys have experienced that very base level of experience with it at the very least.
Well, there's your stats. We'll get some break stuff in as we're saying, and we'll get around to. I need to make this not full screen. I actually now have. I have like a 3-star primary, which is really important, and I have an 8-star to use. So I have some really good things to use now, which is very cool. Alrighty. Okay, there, horse game. I hope so. Also, the Poppy ban wasn't just there to set up the Pantheon. One, I think it's to force the Pantheon ban, but also it's very good for both Kyle and Tarzan, so it's kind of like a double flex. We did say the Victor was a good answer into that Scion, which is why it's been locked in so readily. And anyone's Legend, you need to lock in a front line with that. Xin Zhao could be an okay lock-in right now, but also, yeah, it's Tarzan and Xin Zhao as well. You do that with the Wukong. Wukong's a bit more damage to front line as well.
Yeah, it does manage the Scion a bit better.
You can also clone backwards and tank Scion ultimate in some cases. You are going to be giving Monkey the
Xin Zhao.
But then again, I think Victor's fine at Xin Zhao. Xin Zhao hates
the gravity field can be very annoying.
He hates playing around gravity field. Yeah, exactly.
I have similar issues as Evelyn, where you go in onto the gravity field,
well, okay,
and then have a bad time.
Nah. Evelyn should never have issues with gravity field because you should kill them and be out
before
it even procs.
Most you do.
Sam, that's a you problem.
I was trying to relate. Most of the time, it's fine. The one I actually find more issues is something like Caitlyn, who the moment if she hits you with a 90 caliber net as you come up, you're screwed.
Yeah, exactly. Caitlyn can be weirdly good against assassins like that. Single target put down. Aurora, good pick in here. You need some extra damage on your top side because you currently have none. Skarner into Aurora is a really nasty combo because the Aurora can follow up onto the 3-man pulls and blah, blah, blah.
Very easy to get weirdings across 3 people as well, which is a lot of burst.
They choose the Rise instead, and that... I dislike that quite a lot, because now you have 3 very short-range champions on top side.
We do have quite a lot of ability to come in from weird angles there. We're driving through walls and realm warps and ult from Scion. I think there's deceptive flank angles here.
No, for sure there are, but if you ever get held at arm's length, your team fight goes really badly. Are we going Flandre Sejuani top? It's a return of Flandre's Rod of Ages Sejuani top lane. I think it is.
Isn't this good into tanks?
It's good into tanks because you have a ton of % HP, and also it gives you a really good front line to play against WE's comp. That's fantastic.
Do you run flash on this champion, or do you go ignite TP?
No. So the times when so it's very important you bring that up, because the last time we saw Sejuani be top, the last time we saw her being top lane was actually still just Flandre. But the last time we saw it meta top lane was into Mini Gnar, when you'd go for the ignite TP to kill him with level 6 with ignite. You don't do that anymore. You don't do it into tanks. You never used to do it into tanks anyway. It's just into squishies you could burst out with ignite and double proc of your E passive from passive, ult, ignite, and it goes kind of wild. Go mad.
Spellbook.
Spellbook is fine. You're meant to be a frontliner this game. You should still go after shock in this game, or phase rush. One of the two. There is a chance you go towards the Spellbook. It's a very powerful rune right now. But given your job in the composition with the first 3 locked in already,
I can see it.
Sejuani is here to be a hyper frontline, give a ton of issues to Scion and Skarner trying to jump into the backline. And now I think anyone's Legend. They've got their engaging tank from top lane again. If you end up getting anyone that can shield the Sejuani, like if you go towards like a Karma in the second round, or maybe even like a Renata lane or something like that, that could be...
I wonder whether the Lucian Nami might be good to the speed up of the tidal wave.
Funnily enough, we're actually not seeing Lucian Nami anymore.
You're right. It's a lot more the Lucian Braum and Lucian Leone. You're right. We're not seeing very much Nami at the minute. You're correct. But I just think you have other ways to speed them up. And I saw the Lucian ban. I went, I wonder. Jhin here for potential additional setup and follow-up would make some sense. Could then allow you to go for something elsewhere, but they might just pick up Kyle's route. It's been his champion for many, many years.
And very good in the meat grinder kind of game this is set up to be, because you have such a low range top side for WE. Yes, they have some decent damage. And you can still resist from that rel too. Absolutely true that you can get some stuff down there. I just look at this composition from anyone's Legend, and there are 3 beef balls setting up for a Victor who's going to go absolutely mental. This is going to be a ridiculous Victor angle for Shanks, and I think WE, they need a way to stop this Victor. I don't think the Caitlyn's it, folks. I just don't think that's it. You don't have any way onto Victor. Victor has 0 threat onto him besides a crazy Skarner angle.
What I will say is WE have got a lot of tools for the people who do come into them, between traps and Braum
Sam,
and
they're going to be a million miles away, because the Sejuani doesn't have to put their body into the threat. If you lock in the Jhin, you can follow up with the W, even the grab field at that point. This is the kind of comp where the Victor can walk up into range of grab field and follow up on engages. Normally, you're not given that kind of range. I think, again, WE's drafting, their split has been poor.
Really weird. Don't get me wrong. I think Tarzan and Kyle could end... If there was a world where those two could get caught. But the Victor, the Jhin, Sejuani's you were kind of noting, at least to an extent, right? If he's just playing around the ult. Hard to pick off. Though I do see that the Xin Zhao and Rel could end up having a harder game to manage.
Yes, and I think in a typical game when you consider Shinzan and Rel are often the ones flying in, I'd agree. But in this comp, you have a Jin W, you have a Sejuani ultimate. That is not the case.
It's not a requirement. Yeah.
And I think WE, on the other side of it, you've locked in a Caitlyn. Caitlyn needs to win lane. Jin has forever been one of the best meta answers in every single Caitlyn meta. Jin has been able to answer, has very good ability to pick up farm, has very good ability to randomly poke her out and catch her out in rotation and stuff like that. A random Jin W lands onto the Caitlyn. She can just immediately die. I think this is a great draft from anyone's legend. I think despite their gameplay being a little shifty in that first game.
First 15 minutes particularly.
First 15 minutes particularly. I think they've walked away with crushing draft advantages from both of our first games now.
Strong words from my co-caster, and I appreciate him walking through some of my potential questions there. Always nice to have someone with insight alongside you to explain why it's looking a bit dicey. The range for Team WE well proved very problematic, and the Caitlyn as a potential answer. Well, you heard Nymaera's answers. He's not particularly pleased by that thought process. The Rift we go for the second and potentially final time today. It might be a 2-game day, guys. When the hell has that happened in LPL? But there's the Skybox. Let's have a listen to the yells. Nice mixed one. What a booming arena that is. WE. I'm just going to look to see if there's anything there really available at the level 1. They'll put a ward down, but it is a known quantity. Hope. Where is he going? Interesting. Okay, linking up with the rest of the squad. Do they have a sweeper? What a wild draft advantage, by the way. Holy moly, did we see that statistical? It wasn't blue the entire game. Normally it's a 1 or 2% difference. Okay, that's what happened in the picture-in-picture. Walked across the ward, swept out. Good grief. Well, Hope and Kyle get to lane just fine. They sweep out their own wards. Ward there from WE, though, in that bush. Gives them a bit more advantage. Shattering Strike. Potentially in danger here as the concussive blows come on through. Kyle eats a bit of a chunk. Qatari in chat rightly calling out the fact that they hovered the Jin, did AL, and then went for the Rel anyway, so it was possible to go for the Jin themselves, W, and they decided against it. The Jin might have been really sensible this game, honestly. Well, they go for the Caitlyn, and I think it is going to have to be an outperformance hit. What that'll happen or is a very different question. Level 2 hit by a WE first into that bot side. Good chunks early from Vampire, and Taeyun getting access to the wave allows that to happen. The Shin's is pathing bot side, so with the Skarner, potentially get a bit dicey down there if they overshove. Too much to be seen here. Deadly Flourish comes on down. Bit of a fight over that wave. Largely farming up to that turret just fine. Tarzan getting towards that Gromp. And we'll try and get the blue buff last. Just making sure by going to the Gromp second there, what you do is in case the monkey decides to go for a very aggressive, say, 3-camp play bot, you are a little closer to that play. Look to get a hold of that blue buff and then sure that you are going down into the river on a decent time there to play that one out. Flandre gone for the grasp. Losing out early on. Sion still very obnoxious in lane as Flandre will just have to deal with the fact that he's a bit behind here as the wave crashes in. We'll get better into the Sion as time goes on. Tarzan leaving that bot side Scuttle Crab alone. Knows it's very unlikely that he'll get a good angle onto this and heads towards that top side. Scuttle Crab can potentially gank that Sion actually here. Look to play around Flandre there with the melee synergy there. Normally we talk about the melee synergy with Sejuani and her laners, of course. This time around, Sejuani is the laner. Played quite well there with the 3 Talon Strike and the Permafrost angles. Tarzan picks that one up, has dropped a singular Krug, as has Monkey. You can see they're on 27 farm, not 28. You would be on 28 if you picked up all of them, and it doesn't quite happen. Not too much to be seen here. Flandre does his best to farm under the turret. It's down about 10 CS. Good news for Cube. The flex for Flandre, currently suffering a little bit in the laning phase. Good early pressure here from the Rise, the Scion bot side as well, getting continual crashes. AL losing lanes of priority can often be a bit dicey to give up. Using that shovel as Karis to go put a ward down by Raptors. Make sure that Tarzan is a known quantity. Hasn't really led to all that much. Again, you've got the Scar there. Not really the easiest to pull off very aggressive invades or ganks, so does mean a quiet early game and WE just getting passive advantages from that lane shift. That's about it. As just checking in on the lanes, it's been a bit of a quiet one so far, but WE are the one with the shove. They are the ones to hit level 2 first bot side with the good sort of like zoning out from Braum, and as it stands, most lanes, particularly bot and top in particular, looking okay here for W in terms of the CS numbers.
The Jhin starting with the boots pot start is fine, just soaking the first few levels of the game. They have been kind of bush baited a little bit here, recall baited rather, is that now actually this will allow potentially an extra way to come through. Tarzan's coming down to hold the wave. Yep, that's kind of cool actually, because normally that's the thing you should use support, even if Taeyeon goes up to proc the Braum passive now. What should have been, 3-4 minions denied ends up being 1 or 2, and in fact Taeyeon stopped his own recall, which means that they don't get the advantage they thought they were going to off of this. It's a recall which happened about 10 seconds later than it should have been for Taeyeon. Vampire has the spellbook teleport. He can be back onto the map wherever the hell he wants to. In fact, he's going to teleport randomly back into mid lane, I suppose, just to control bot side vision. But yeah, what could have been a slightly bigger advantage for Taeyeon has ended up being less so. Also, I'm going to point out a mistake here from Taeyeon. You cannot go collector first in this game as Caitlyn. You are not going to be killing squishies. You cannot afford to go collector. This needed to be Yuntal into stuff like more. You need an early Lord Doms. You need obviously an Infinity Edge in there at some point too. I really don't like the collector. It's not a useful item beyond its completion. It feels really crap.
Then you need to snowball is the answer. If you've gone towards this, then you need to get lots of value out of the lane. You need to get lots of value out of the poke. And in fairness, they did have early priority, but the 10 CS lead they did have has been mitigated by that.
And this is the thing. The priority in a Caitlyn lane often means poking people out under turret and getting a huge amount of plays. Getting one play, it's not bad, but you're not ahead significant farm. Hope is completely fine with how everything's going here. Braum passive is not going to get fully procced onto Hope, but nice jump forward from Vampire. Not able to block that CS going through the other way though, but Hope is completely happy with this, and this is not the goal of a Caitlyn lane. This is not a great Caitlyn draft. Honestly, the rest of the team is not a snowball kind of comp either, which is a big problem for them.
See how it all works out from here, but some concerns, and I think wisely articulated there. The collector value into a Sejuani, into a Rel. Your squishies are miles away, the Shinzao can press R. It's not easy to get lots of value there, especially when realistically you're hitting Sejuani Rel this game for the most part.
Exactly. And if they're your primary talks, even Jhin going towards armor boots first, yeah, that's a problem. Even that guy's going to have decent amount. They can body block the they were about to body block the cannon, and the shield does not in fact stop the shouting strike, so that is going to be cannon secured by Kyle through his jungle item.
Worth noting, actually, the top side, Flandre kind of got shoved in early on. It's actually down 10-15 CS here, but does it matter that much?
I mean, to an extent, yes, because you're the primary tank, so being behind this far in laning phase is actually a bit of a problem. See, once again, Taeyeon and Vampire getting the shove in, but how much are they actually getting from the shove? They're getting a plate in each lane. That's not actually that bad. It's okay, but my worry is that it's not going to transfer into a game-winning lead. We said
early lead,
we said this a little bit before about this double crash that comes through, and the full shots Taeyeon.
Oh, and the Magnustorm, all of those resists getting stolen away. Hope looking to step on forwards, get some value. Vampire though does have the Unbreakable to ensure that a lot of that damage is mitigated onto Taeyeon. Good angle there from Vampire actually to stay in front of the Caitlyn despite the Magnustorm.
But the problem was they clumped up for the double crash down anyway, which means that they're chunked out, which means that they can't push up in the way that they did before, because Caitlyn and Braum do need to be very high HP really to get the most out of their lane. 3 grubs will be claimed by WE. That is a win for them, and hopefully they can use that with the Caitlyn now to actually get game-winning plate advantages, because I don't think that's what they're at right now.
He's a singular Raptor alive as Tarzan, so won't have that respawn. It was an error where junglers used to do that repeatedly just to sort of leave someone's camp on a horrible respawn timer, but these days it's not happening so much because people just want to get in there and constantly invade for them. If you deny the respawn, you can't go and claim it.
Andre not able to get that passive completely there. But yeah, he's about 20 CS down. Cube, I always preferred Cube on tanks to carries. I always did, but W have been really putting me back onto stuff like the Gwen, Rumble, you know, more kind of stuff towards that rather than his tanks in recent days, which I think was a big mistake. They were much better around playing around team fights with him on a weak side tank, partly because they don't know how to set him up on strong side.
Oh yeah, he's not given a lot of ground to stand on.
Because let's be honest, Vampire much prefers this style of play where the Braum is sat in mid lane or the Nico is sat in mid lane rather than trying to play around side lanes. I think that's one of his biggest weaknesses as a player. So draft towards your strengths. That's one of the things about mid-table, lower table teams. And W are a mid-table team, right? I mean, even top table from the last split. But you know, you have to know your team's strengths and have to know your players' strengths.
Yeah, and again, part of how W was a top table team last split was playing towards us. When they did kind of move away from it, it didn't look very pretty last split. And when it came to playoffs, they went back towards what was working and got them a fair way up. Maybe wouldn't have got them all the way to stand or MSI or whatever, but it's certainly a good showing. And I can sort of understand the saying, look, if we do want to actually compete for better than that, then we need to broaden our skill set, but then you've got to play like it. You can do it, right?
Yeah. Rod of Age is now completed for Flandre. That'll give him some HP, some regen when he starts spending mana as well. And also the extra level when it eventually comes through as well. It's the build which he likes to go towards. After that, you tend to go into more just full tanky stuff. But yeah, it gives you surprisingly good damage, it does, to tell you.
See whether that changes the matchup here a little bit into the side. I think early on, Sion with no items tends to get shoved for free, harder to get the farm down, and Flandre largely found himself down that CS from those early levels before Max came on.
And we'll see what Hope ends up going towards on this Jhin. Jin's in a weirder spot where actually your first item kind of always is lethality, and they just never stop building either Collector or Ghostblade. I just hope for the love of God it's an LDR second. It kind of has to be.
Yeah.
The problem with Caitlyn is that you do actually have a much better first item than the Uintel, pretty much always. Jhin isn't a Uintel builder because you don't, your damage is not calculated in the same way, really.
Yeah, you crit eventually becomes valuable at like 4 items.
yeah, for sure. And yeah, Shanks, this is another point too, because we've not had eyes on the mid lane matchup at all in this game, at all. You'll notice Shanks is not going Rod of Ages. This is the right idea. What he's going to do is likely go into the rookie build we saw a little earlier
the Blackfire
in the split.
Build, yeah.
Blackfire into Bloodletter's Curse, where you have really good burst, really good extended DPS, and in this kind of game where there is limited target access onto you and you're just wailing against tanks, it is so goddamn broken. It is so broken in this kind of game. I think that this Victor, if they're not shut down, will instantly end team fights if given a good angle.
Okay, tries to go for the angle. Flandre managed to get away. Does not have the Arctic Assault. Does have the flash. Does have to use to get out of the Decimating Smash. Turns it around with the Glacial Prison. Won't go any further as Taeyun and Vampire attempted the lane gank there as the bot lane duo on the reset. Flandre burns the Summoner but does survive.
Yeah, blows the ultimate too. Tarzan, hang on a second, we might have to play. Sion's just recalled. He could teleport back in. They do back off just in time. WE, what are they angling for here? W lands on the Vampire again. No real fight onto a Braum. He's got heal, flash, and shield up. But Flandre clears out the wave, stops any tower push on that wave before bot lane goes to hold up their station of holding the Caitlyn at bay again.
Does seem to be the case. Hope gonna try and do their best here to get some value. Ace in the hole, body blocked by Kale. Nice shield with the Ferromancy crash down and ensure the ace in the hole does nothing.
And again, this is one of the great reasons why I love this draft of this bot lane for anyone's legend. I mean, you're completely fine with this duo into the Caitlyn. Caitlyn might get shoved, but they are ahead 100 gold. That's nothing. That's basically nothing for a Caitlyn. And yeah, on the other side, you know, I think even if it's even in gold for mid laners, I do think that Shanks is much happier with it. Now, I do think that the Rise has some decent angles. If he can start doing the machine gun Rise, which we've seen, of course, Shanks be very famous at too, perhaps that's a win condition for WE, but realistically I expect this Victor to be the win condition, whereas Caitlyn to be a win condition needed to be so much stronger than she currently is.
Yeah, I think the other person we've not really talked about here is Monkey on the Skarner has been really, really, really good. If there was a tank player of Skarner in the LPL in the mid-table, Monkey's the one you don't want to give it to.
And we do have a potential realm walk coming towards top side. Here we go.
Okay, Shattering Strike comes down to Monkey. Hope going to try and back away. Flash from Kyle into the crash down, and the exhaust comes on through. AL get out. Just cost him a summon, and now Shanks roaming. 4v3. Gravity Field comes on down. Shanks might not actually have been a I wouldn't bother, but they won't turn around too much. Now looking with the 3 drops at this top tier
This is
one.
important. Is Shanks going to put the ult over the wall? No. I was wondering if he'd have a better angle there, honestly. He could still get put onto Shanks. You've got a position better than that, friend.
Oh boy, ends up in a lot of danger. Has to burn the flash, and AL lose that turret, and that is going towards the feat of strength here now.
Really don't like how Shanks played that. You don't go for the full fight or the full wave clear. I think it's right for you to be on that side of the map, but then hesitating, having nothing to do after that last E-cast, and then still having your flash blown, that's an important summoner. The lack of target access is one of the big features of this game. You cannot be easily giving over your flash to the enemy team, especially when we have Herald coming up, Dragon coming up, and you will really want that summoner for it. He does have his Blackfire Torch now. It's a great item for him, but that's the kind of mistake which WE will be very happy to force. I think it was a good angle from Monkey as he had 2 good different charges through the wall. And we'll see if he can then punish that next time with his flash up and Victor's being down.
I just want to say our viewers are very smart in chat. AC over on the YouTube chat was basically saying exactly what you were, as they like, I'm not sure about this collector for very similar reasons. Like, you know what? Glad to see it's not just us. We've got a bit of community consensus saying, yeah, that does feel a little awkward here.
Tarzan getting a little bit of damage onto Karis, but he props the phase rush. Goes away. Dragon has spawned, which is why we're getting a little bit more feisty towards the bot side. Remember, Monkey does have flash, and go for the flash, immediate wall stun with Ixtal's impact. Tarzan could get caught hit. That's a Tarzan for buddy.
Wait, Crescent Guard comes on down. Magnustorm trying to turn the corner around.
Kyle.
It's all been a bit of a bait. Damage though onto Kyle. Tarzan going to go back in. Kyle with a shield, buying some time. My God, that front line. But look at the captive audiences everywhere. Absolute disaster. Cube survives, flashing on out. Monkey drives Shanks into a wall.
No flash.
Who's now in danger without the flash. Flandre trying to come on down. Gravity field is solid enough, but can't get any damage as Monkey's absolutely monstrous in the front line.
I thought Kyle had won the fight by managing to body block so well, but Shanks not having that flash after blowing it so poorly in that top side comes back to haunt anyone's legend. He can't disengage, and Monkey's engage is the real tide turner. Gets himself the fight started in the right place and makes sure that Tarzan can't have much impact.
Thought they'd managed to bait it all in. Tarzan's like, great, I'll just Crescent Guard as the Impale comes on through and we can play it from there. And they just don't have the damage.
No, but Tarzan lost too much HP jumping at the rise to do very little before this point. Does pop the ultimate before the ult comes down. That's fine. I thought Kyle had a fantastic combo here, but they just don't have the Victor in place at the right time. The Brawl ult is very good, and Rise starts to just spit blue stuff out across the fight. Also, not gonna lie, I think the Chaos Storm micro was a little poor there. Didn't get the damage onto any one person. Instead, just kind of changed the direction it was going multiple times. Shanks, weird all day today. Had largely a very good late game Liriana, but you know, his shockwaves weren't great. Right here, blowing a flash, not the best micro of his ultimate there. He's so important to this team. He can't be affording to be having imprecise team fights like that.
And that was 3 kills, got them the full feat of strength. They've already got first turret. They just got all the objectives as well. So WE actually, we were a little bit nervous about their team comp and it's the way it needed to work, but right now at the base damages, they've done a really good job in this early game.
They now have a 3k gold lead and an objective lead, so this is where actually, okay, game on, really. I think before that point, it was feeling like, well, you don't have the good enough gold lead, you are outscaled, I think, quite largely. You know, we didn't see Flandre make a big impact in that fight again. I think he's been one of the quote-unquote issues for anyone's legend today. I think, you know, early game, last game, he was not turning up for fights when he needed him. I think right here, he has lost lane a little bit hard, and he didn't impact that play. And now suddenly they're behind the game. Need to see a step up from the top lane of anyone's legend.
Look at Karis. Is anyone coming? Yes, Tarzan is. Need to try and find the CC. Can't quite do it, and he gets away.
Wonder whether Flandre should have instead Q flashed instead.
And held onto the ult.
Or used his ult and then held the Q, because quite obviously Karis can use his Realm Warp out. Again, just not fantastic from Flandre there. You can't use all of your cancels, then you can't stop the Realm Warp.
Yeah, ends up in a tricky position. Does get the Realm Warp, I suppose. It's an ult for an ult. So not the worst trade of all time, but still.
What it does do is force him off the side lane, which is still important. And now Flandre is about to tick over towards, you know, he's fairly close to sticking over towards the Rod of Ages. Caught up an amount of CS. He's only behind 10 CS now, which I think that's actually very reasonable. Karis being ahead on the rise is a problem for anyone's legend, because that's the guy which actually can kill your front line. At that point, it's like, well, you can sort of forget that the Caitlyn's gone for Collector first and might run out of damage at some points, because the rise will pick up the difference.
On the other side,
Vampire, no one's even close.
Oh, that's unfortunate. I was about to say the front line of WE could be very difficult for AL, but not in a 3v1.
There was no one even nearby. Occasionally Vampire does this. Of his like top level support plays, his warding missions are some of the worst. He's often quite fast and loose with them, and I understand why I wanted to get creative vision, but the execution of it often does put his team in an awkward position where they have to try and rally to his defense. And right there, it does lead to him dying because there's no one really in range to help.
Yep, does seem to be the case. Flandre will back away a little. Skarner summoning the Herald, looking like that will be in mid lane. Is driving straight towards it. Couple minutes till Dragon.
That'll kill it straight up.
Should just get that value there, and Hope's just going to have to deal with that going down.
Yep, that was well over the HP margin needed. Not going to be able to drive it anywhere else. The extra 50 gold goes towards Hope, I think it is, or 25 on the kill.
Cannon minion.
Yeah, and it's still 3,000 gold lead for WE. And with this, they've taken the whole ring of outer turrets. AL have yet to take one. WE get to walk into the enemy side of the jungle. Shanks does manage to secure the Gromp, which is nice. You stop some of that passive gold kind of going up towards WE. And by that, I mean, when you're winning a game,
yeah,
and you take enemy jungle camps, you're taking gold which should belong to the enemy team, so the impact is double because they don't have it and you do, so it's kind of like a double swing at that point.
Yeah, it's not like minions, like you can't claim your own minions. It's not quite how it works.
No, we're not Dodo. We're not Dodo hip. Dragon up in a minute now. Anyone's Legend. Would really like to get to that second item for Shanks, who's either going towards Bloodletters or Leandries. I don't actually know which one he wants to go for. Leandries is really good into this comp, in fairness, and you'd have to double burn.
You do need something to kill Tanksy, because one of the things we saw in that last fight is, look, AL just didn't have the actual DPS to deal with a Scion and a Skarner and a Roa Seraph's Rise and the Brawl.
Sure, but then I also think that Bloodletters also kind of does some double duty on that too, because again, it gives you the shred, and it has you know, decent value from that. Still, both of them are kind of... I guess he's gone for the Faded Ashes, so it is going to be the Leandries now. He'll probably go Leandries, then into the Bloodletters, which will give you a really nice kind of like burn over time craziness, which WE... I don't think they have the tools to deal with it very well late game.
No. Worth noting, actually, we had a little statistical analysis of the game beginning of the game. 55% over to AL, basically. It was like nearly all red the entire. We never see those kind of margins in those statistical things. And we saw the win rate percent right now from W, 68%. So it's all kind of gotten inverted, basically, off play more than anything else.
Yeah, for sure. Atakan's now spawned. Again, WE, great advantage. I do think this game is still open. I think that is advantage for WE, but I think anyone's Legend, if they manage to not lose the next big fight, I think that they're actually not too unhappy. Can they force some summoner? Oh, hang on a second. Skarner's completely on the other side of the map. He's taking Dragon. I mean,
they got Realm Warp.
So they have Realm Warp to speed them up to this. Kaelin's not in position right now. They're catching out Flandre, but they're kind of been distracted by him. You should not have gone for that.
Vampire's got a smite of his own, but can't get there in time. Atakan just picked up. That's a lot of petals coming over.
Where's the Impale?
Looking to get onto one. Does get it onto Shanks! Who's doing goes straight? Tarzan, I do apologize. I misread the model, but it doesn't matter. They still get a kill on the jungle, which means Dragon now going over to WE.
Tarzan should have just flashed. Blow that summoner. They get themselves the Atakan, which is completely fine for them. Cube doesn't have ultimate now. If he gets stunned up here, that's a huge issue.
Yeah, he's going to get stunned up. Permafrost after. Does get a Roar of the Slayer off, but he's eating a lot of damage now. Needs to try and turn the corner around. Decimating Smash coming on through. TP also there. Gets a Grass proc. Monkey coming on up as is Vampire. Hope now in danger himself. The flank angles are rough. Hope does get a little bit of time. Magnustorm bites a bit of space as Shanks comes on him with a TP. Damage onto Kyle, who goes down. Hope is destroyed by Monkey, though. And Flandre caught out as AL just run under their own turret. They don't quite have the damage. Monkey potentially in danger to Shanks, though. Might end up getting that kill if they can get the burn on it. Ace in the hole back. Can't quite get the kill. Siphon Power doesn't do it.
The shield blocks the Siphon Power, so it stops the kill onto the Skarner.
Does get that massive value. Tarzan now heading on to the tier 2. Should be able to pick that one up. Shanks gets to clear that one out, but it's another few kills back and they don't kill Q.
Monkey playing so well on the Skarner. He understands his tankiness, and honestly, Shanks is just not doing enough. His earlier mistakes in the game where he had to blow his flash and then died in that earlier play, that's the kind of thing which was kind of unacceptable for anyone's Legends composition. Shanks needed to be ahead in this game. He is the center of why this game could be won or lost for anyone's Legends perspective of things. You see, right now, he's just not where he needs to be. Cube ends up getting a ton of value out of just buying a ton of cooldowns and buying a lot of time. I think this front step there, that's the problem. If they just stepped back from it after they got the flash out, I think they would have been fine. It's a good sidestep from Hope, but you know, so much damage comes through from just the random base damages coming through from WE, and a flash fall from Karis does the damage really. And it's not like the Victor's in place at the right time because yeah, he's ended up backing up too far. Shanks, he needed to do better this game. Right now, he's getting kind of shut out of every big fight.
I was watching the minimap during that replay, and Shanks came off Fountain off the reset. Thought about going topside, then walked mid lane, and thought about going topside, and then TPs. Because they thought they had Cube dead to rights. He didn't. There was a ward in that bush that he could have teleported straight away. He wasn't there for the majority of that fight, and that decision-making paralysis, I don't know whether that was his call or the team's call. Either way, he wasn't there on time.
WE had a very large amount of gold. Now, this is the kind of gold lead which does kind of translate into full game wins. Kyle isn't going to get smashed into the wall. Impale misses. Monkey had the right angle there, though. If he catches that, that's a huge play for them. By jumping forward. Hang on, he doesn't have the W back now. I was actually wondering if there was
enough traps around, I think, would make it a little bit difficult for people to step onto that from Kyle and Tarzan, so they had to not hold the E.
I just don't think that they have the damage right now. They're about to get towards LDR for the Jhin, and at that point, I think the Jhin actually starts doing some really some nice damage again. But it's been very good. WE kind of capitalizing on these team fights and really capitalizing on the pick potential of Monkey.
And I think AL as well just weren't respectful of when they had their damage and when they didn't. Whereas WE, their front line's been so damn obnoxious. Monkey, fantastic game right now on the Skarner. 100% kill participation alongside Vampire. The Braum and the Skarner have been really annoying.
And very often when WE are winning, it's because Monkey and Vampire are on a roll, and they're getting these, flashy skirmish plays around the map. Okay, so you have LDR from Hope. Shanks has got Leandries. You're going towards a Void Staff next to Shanks as well. This is the point where Annual's Legend, I think, do now have that damage to potentially cut through the front line. We shall see. The tanks are very far ahead now compared to where they should be, though, on the game for WE. And I think that Flandre is not going to be tanky. I think that the Rise is too fed.
I just saw a Zeal in inventory for Taeyun after the Infinity Edge. I would have much preferred an LDR here. And again, look, Taeyun is 2.4k ahead. He's actually managed to get gold, but we are still not exactly sold on the build here, and is going to go towards a rapid fire. I mean, maybe that gives you access onto the Rise. I think onto the Victor. That's the one, and the Jhin.
Yeah, I think at this point, you're so far ahead of the game, the extra fire cannon headshot onto the Rise will actually just... not onto the Rise, onto the Victor.
I did,
it was because you said it.
I know, it's my fault. I know.
If you get that extra auto attack onto the Victor in the backline, I think you can just win the fight. Same with Hope as well on the Jhin. If you get the extra tap onto it, it does make a difference. But yeah, if it does become a game about hitting frontline, obviously this build is not going to be that valuable. See the E-poke starting to mark up a little bit more onto Vampire Monkey now. WE need to make sure they are not fighting into a choke point against Victor AoE. That is, hang on a second, they just spotted the rail over the wall.
Oh, that's potential damage onto Monkey, but Kyle now in danger. Does have a crash down, burns it. Gonna get hit by the Glacial Fissure. Ace in the hole comes on down. Shanks going to get out, but they'll lose the rel, looking for a pick angle, but they just don't have the damage still. Trying to jump onto Q, but again, the time to kill is so damn long. Turning it around, Deadly Flourish into the Glacial Prison, jumping onto Q.
Shanks
does still have the ult. Shanks is caught again, does have the flash, will need to blow it, does get out alive.
Shanks is positioning so poorly in this game. Another easy flash blown as he's too far out and doesn't pull that ult at the earliest point, and now Anyone's Legend getting jumped on in the mid lane.
Tarzan dumps on forward. Crescent Guard is decent, but still eats so much damage. Permafrost comes on down, and he just gets melted by Taeyun.
Really good series of picks once again from Monkey. Managing to use the sweeper used by the rest of his team to spot out Kyle, and WE, real credit to them taking an advantage and running with it. They've rarely gotten these advantages in this split so far, but this one should go around to the game win at this point. I think the game's far too gone now.
Vampire might die here. They're going to open up the curtains. They've got the blast cone. Trying to get over the wall. Monkey comes out of the pit. Burn onto Vampire is good. They get the kill. Baron, though, going down all the while. Going to try and jump onto Monkey potentially here. Can't quite get the damage. Gravity Field not quite armed in time. They TP in. Lose Vampire. But yeah, you've got yourself the Baron.
Vampire dies, but that's a worthy cost for the Baron onto 4 members, and the support being the one that's down. It's not really a problem because he's not really person who's going to be sat around pushing the lanes with the rest of his team. He's still got the ability to kind of drop off a wave, get vision control, head back to the lane when he's needed. Minute till Dragon, that'll be Ocean Soul, and Annual's Legend. I thought they'd walked away with a better draft in this one, but when you lose the early game in the way that they did, obviously that ends up getting flipped a little bit. I was really worried about WE going into the Victor, but I think Shanks underperforming in this game sadly really turns it in WE's favor.
It does, and I think also then just credit to WE's frontline being really, really obnoxious. How many times we've seen Cube, Monkey, misses that Impale, nice idea, doesn't quite happen. Now is he potentially in danger, actually? TP's flying, they're trying to turn one on Flandre. Not very tanky at all, potentially flash.
Oh, they get Taylor!
They got Taylor on the backside, Tarzan got on in! They get rid of the Caitlyn, flash forward from Cube onto Hope, who may not need to be able to survive here as the passive from the Braum stacks on top of him. They lose the Jhin. Rise also free firing, damage is really good. Onto Karis though, gotta get the kill! Does get that one, does Flandre. Damage back looking good, but Monkey, Cube, and Vampire are so bloody tanky in a 3v2 Heartsteel procs galore.
Charzan trying to take down Vampire, trying to get someone. Does have very good extended fight value, but in a 1v3, I'm not sure that's really what you built for, Shinzao.
Ocean Soul coming, gets driven into a wall. Decimating Smash, tries to get the knockup, can't quite do it, and they will lose that one too.
Tarzan ends up hitting the person with the Thornmail and can't even really get their healing through that. Anyone's Legend, a brief moment where they found that fight, where they could play around the Victor, but once again, Shanks caught out in no man's land in the middle of the fight, tried to get a reset on his ultimate to keep it ticking, but he couldn't finish off the kill on Vampire. I think Anyone's Legend had an angle to victory there, but they didn't play well around the Chaos Storm to give it another reset. They should have focused down Vampire as that second kill to keep the Storm ticking.
Vampire's going to respawn. Took a little bit longer for certain members to die, so that gets a bit interesting. Impale there. Dodged by the Mounter.
That was really well played by the Crash Dam. Ended up pinning him in place after that point. Flandra tanking up a little bit, and Taeyeon's caught against the wall. Caitlyn around bot side. Dragon fights can be pretty poor. First kill comes through. They needed to put the extra damage onto Vampire. If they go towards Vampire, they get a reset on the Chaos Storm, and it keeps ticking for another couple of seconds. Ends up being Jin going down to not the best fight from poor Hope. But if they had a couple more seconds from that Chaos Storm, gives you a chance of another reset, gives you a chance of more DPS. And I don't think Anyone's Legend really recognized that.
In the picture-in-picture, Ocean Soul's been secured, Tier 2's been secured. Now you've got Sion, Skarner, Braum, Rise, all with Ocean Soul. We're already seeing Ayala struggling to kill the front line at the best of times.
Cube getting jumped on, does have ult. I mean, they're losing the base for this, and you can still ult out. Shanks is
failed ult.
Hang on a second, he's put another Chaos Storm, but they're gonna ult everyone in.
Whoa, over we go. Tarzan now in danger.
He's very dead.
But he manages to back away. That's the power of a blue jungle item. Gets the Gust Walker speed.
Another ult miss from Monkey, but no Chaos Storm now. They've just wasted it on that pick.
Trying to get some damage back. Tier 3 going down. Does get some damage onto the backside with the Magnet coming on through. Tarzan now coming on in, but they just don't have any DPS. Taeyeon's dead though. Finally get the Siphon power onto that one. Shanks getting to back away, but Cube and Monkey are so obnoxious. Shanks can't keep running.
Flandre peeling as best he can. They've ended up taking down the AD carry. It might end up saving the game. The unending spare try to heal through it. I just don't think it's enough.
Ocean Soul on a Skarner and a fed Sion. It's too much. Kyle's going to die to the tier 1 in mid lane.
You know what? I don't even think Kyle's even had a bad game. It's a 0-5 Ral. He has done his work. It really is just about these carries not doing enough, though. 3k down in mid, almost the same in AD carry. The Ocean Soul will make these tanks utterly unkillable. The front line of WE has done a magnificent job in this game.
It really, really has. And now trying to continue buying some time where they can, but I don't know whether the tanks actually give a damn about the turrets anymore.
They've just stood and not dodged out of the Chaos Storm.
Yeah.
Shanks is doing negative damage. He's doing negative damage. I thought this build would be fine, but I wonder whether he should have gone towards the Bloodletters second at this point. I think it would have been so much more impactful onto that front line. I know that you need a Leandries at some point, but the Bloodletters for the Shred could have been so important. And yeah, I know a lot of this conversation, I know I've said a lot of criticism about Shanks in this game. Remember what we said coming out of this draft. This game could just be decided by the victor. I think it has been in some ways because he's done very poorly. Don't think that tells the full story, because I think WE, credit to them, have played this game very, very well. But Anyone's Legend were looking to a hero in the mid lane, and he's not showing up to work.
No, finally got a third item on Flandre, and maybe that will help a bit. You know, you've still got some decent levels there, but this game is looking very, very tricky. Baron's in a minute, Elders in 3. And I think unless Shanks gets this Void Staff completed, or I suppose it might well actually be the...
It'll be the Crypt
Bloom for the extra rotations.
Yeah, he gets a little bit of cooldown reduction from that. Does drop a lot of AP for this. It's a low AP item, and I'm not going to lie, the heal nowadays doesn't really do that much. I'm not really sure why he's going for that over there again. Bloodletters or anything else. Vampire, again, doing this very deep warning mission, but again, at this point, he's too far ahead, and his Ocean Soul doesn't really mean the same after this point. Hope, also, at this point, worth noting, really should have gone towards a... Mortal Reminder rather than Lord Dominant's Regards. You do not have available heal cut. Huge mistake from both of the carries from Anyone's Legend. Someone needs that heal cut.
Oblivion Orb on Flandre might have to be it.
Yeah, that's it, but I just don't think he's going to be hitting the right targets, all of them at the same time. I suppose the ultimate can help a little bit. Monkey over the wall, and again, he's just so tanky, he doesn't have to give a damn.
Okay, Tarzan on the backside, Exhaust comes onto him, great, the Casting Guard comes on down, Hope just gets eviscerated by the front line though. When your front line is doing all of the AD carries damage, then it's a problem. They're going to run warp into the back line, and that front line, it's just Godzilla breaking apart Tokyo Bay. Anyone's Legend are absolutely eviscerated, and we're going to game 3.
WE snowball to the win. Anyone's Legend, their carries caught. and unsuited for the task of killing the ocean buffed up frontline. WE, a bad game 1, rectified somewhat by a much better game 2, and we'll go the distance in our only series today, 1-1 in Xi'an.
The Kaijus walk at the Nexus and break it apart. WE, strong play there.
WE, real credit to them. Once again, carried on the back of Monkey Skarner. What a hell of a player this guy is. I much prefer this team when they're playing around multiple tanks. I think their tank play is much better than their carry play, and I think they're discovering that here. And on the other side, anyone's legend, Shanks needs to play better than that, bluntly. I think that there were times where he was blowing his flash too easily. I think that he was approaching on flanks that were never going to be effective, and I think his build path ended up leaving some things to be desired as well. This Victor could have solved this game, just ended up being another problem.
Yeah, like between Cube and Monkey, you can see who's getting the MVP vote split. I think that's a very reasonable split. It was a good Rise game. And Monkey and Cube, that Skarner and Sion were carries by the end of that.
And I do see some comments in chat about Hope as well. I will say, yes, Hope struggled to do damage. I think his positioning was quite poor. I think the peel was poor for him in teamfights too. Look, let's be honest, there's a Sion. I think that Kyle was good at peeling when he was able to do so. But I think that Jin has less options that game in terms of build path, right? You can't necessarily go towards... He did go towards the LDR second. That is damage. And the Ghost Blade first is very standard. I mean, I somewhat understand that at least. I just think that you have less ability to carry that game. The ball is in the Victor's court. People have to peel for him. He needs to approach from the right angles. Needs to hold on to his summoners very dearly. Didn't end up doing that. And WE, real credit to them. They played very well around a rampant front line. I think they did very well at forcing that.
A little bit of a question, chat, about did IG versus Billy get cancelled?
Postponed.
Yeah, it's been postponed. It's going to be played on the 28th of August. It's not happening today. It is in the pin messages as well, guys. But yes, there is a typhoon happening right now, so games in Shanghai are cancelled for today. And with the way scheduling and everything else working, the next available day is an extra play day on the 28th.
Okay, so that'll be our second game done. We'll put on an ad break, so our pre-roll's getting a little bit thin on the ground here. And then technically is an engaged support, but it's not one which is nearly as strong in laning phase or just in general right now.
A good shove here on from AL. Last game, they were getting shoved in every lane. And things got a little trickier as the fights came on forwards, and they were kind of overplaying them a little bit. Which is alright. Angle on in there. Too much to be seen.
Tarzan, kind of sparring with Monkey around this bot side river, waiting until bot side scuttle comes through. Kyle does have flash, but you can't really force fights with the Marco support. If that was an Alistair, you could look for that fight. If there was a Braum even, you could look for that fight. Because he's on the Marco support, WE can't play their typical, early skirmish jungle support style. Yeah, I really do get a little bit worried for WE when Vampire can't play his primary style, because it is so important to Team WE. See how he plays a little bit later into the game, see if he can unlock the sapling value, stuff like that. The hook is going to cancel Taeyun
into the boomerang blade, and they picked that one up as well.
Why would you recall that? Taeyun, my dude! Taeyun and Vampire just giving freebies to Kyle. Maybe he thought the recall would complete, but that is unforgivable. You cannot give sitting hooks to something like that. Hope gets himself the kill. He will get the recall as well. So he's going to go back, get himself, I don't know, a cull maybe, which is exactly what he's going to get. And he's going to get the scout slingshot as well. So he gets himself an early laning phase item. Taeyun and Vampire may have just thrown the game into the abyss with those series of hooks.
Cube may now be in danger. Hit by that rupture. Cube throws down the Dark Procession, but where is he running to? He's going to try and execute the turret. And will not allow Tarzan to get involved at least, but that's now effectively the solo kill of Flandre.
It is, and the wave is in a bad spot. He's going to be losing another minion or two just to the cannon being alive. WE's laning phase in the deciding game has just been poor. Cube not really able to find out where Tarzan was on the map, partly because Monkey and Vampire couldn't get any access to bot side river really in that around the scuttle spawn. It meant that they couldn't track Tarzan afterwards, which meant that they couldn't protect top lane. I really think a lot of this game is coming back to the early laning pressure from WE. They're not getting the information they need to fight.
Oh, they are. Lead too much there. Could be okay. Tarzan doing his best. to get some value here in the early game before the level 6 comes through. And doing his best seems to be a word I'm using at the minute. Doing a bit here to get towards the level 6's Monkey. Not miles off either. Maybe with the paranoia coming, we can change things around again. Might be the end goal here.
Shanks to level 6 with Flash, obviously a huge threat. The Aurora, not dissimilar. I think Aurora has been such a powerful champion.
Yeah.
Taeyeon does have Flash still.
Ooh, and does have the cleanse as well. Needs to burn both, though.
Tries to turn some damage back onto Tarzan, because if they can take some health off of Tarzan, maybe you can stop them fighting around this bot side, but then the Honey Fruit being up means nothing. Taeyeon, poor game 3. He's had a couple of games recently which have been, he's been criticized for. His Smolder game recently was one which I'm sure springs to mind for great many people. Personally, I think actually that was a very good game from IG on the other side, so I mean, I was less critical of him. However, worth noting that Taeyeon was probably the most important member of W last split. Like, he was overperforming to a massive level. And the fact that he's not having that impact now has really impacted W. They were, massively leveraging the fact that his Ezreal, his Kai'Sa were all very, very impactful. And right now, it's just not really seeming like he has that same kind of killer champion pool and impact on the map.
Grub spawning, 30 seconds. Drake is still up, wasn't taken there after that, and blowing us some of the bot side. I think the Aurora having better access into the river with control water stuff around made it a bit risky, so they decided against it. Cube himself a very angry panda cat horror creature.
Yeah, that's some SCP stuff right there. Flandre about to play this through. One of the great things about Cho'Gath is you can hold waves and just gain a bunch of HP from killing the wave anyway. So you feel a lot better about tanking minions. Yeah. You can freeze waves quite easily as Cho'Gath because you passively do heal up quite a lot.
Also, got to be a bit careful when you use your Vorpal spikes, because then you end up AoE clearing waves, and that can be a bit sad. But as long as your auto attacks are on point, you're feeling pretty happy.
Yeah. So games slow down a little bit. 1,000 gold lead towards anyone's legend. You've got the Cull stacking in for hopes that will become more at some point. Teleports from bot lane to mid lane. Doesn't even go towards the reset first. Going over towards the grubs. None taken down so far. Tarzan jumping forwards.
Gets the flash off of Karis. So Aurora down that bunny hop, importantly.
Vampire has the W.
And turning it around now with that paranoia. That's so much damage onto Shanks.
Shanks fail flashes, doesn't go next to the wall and fail flashes. Shanks has been playing so poorly this series.
Oh, Karis gets in trouble himself. Across the veil he goes, though. But there's an ult from the Maokai and from the center. The double global's buying time. Tarzan flashing away. He's got a blast code and uses it. 2 dead on the side of AL.
Shanks throwing that fight away. Shanks has had a poor game. Missed shockwaves in game 1. Second game, better left unsaid. Vampire flashing onto the Cho'Gath.
Oh, he's dead.
And Flandre goes way too far away from his team. A good flash forward from Vampire. WE pick up the early fight, and they're looking towards potentially 3 grubs.
Oh, they're going to keep fighting in a 2v4. They're going to try and get at least this last grub at the back end of it.
So Anyone's Legend will get the 1, but seriously, Anyone's Legend are LPL champions performing so off the heat right now. Shanks right there. Fail flashing after getting jumped on, not positioning next to the wall to have himself an easy way out. And WE managed to get themselves 2 kills onto the Aurora, who initially started that play getting caught out themselves.
Difficult stuff. Hope, though, going to get at least a little bit of value here in terms of able to wave cleared through here, stacking the Cull. The scaling still mixed for AL. It's not like the game is over, but that's an unfortunate fight. What should have been a power point for AL.
Absolutely. I mean, given how it felt like that's the best terrain you can have as well, where you've pinned them against the wall. Just Shanks, my dude, you cannot be positioning like this in W range of the Maokai, doesn't walk next to the wall, fail flashes, and then dies. Shanks, this is not the LPL champion mid laner we expect to see on the Rift. It's a great hook coming through onto Karis, that's great, but the center ult's there to protect. And yeah, you're right in saying that the Maokai ult was there. I think that Tarzan should have walked up and flashed to tank that. If that damage hadn't come through for the Maokai ult, I actually think that they can walk out of that alive. So lots of teamfight misexecutions. Then Flandre, for reasons beyond me, walks up without his ultimate on cooldown. Anyway, it's not like he could have treated. Dies for free after flashing too. Flandre, I think, has also had a bad series. I mean, we saw in game 1, not teleporting into the correct fights, even though they walked away with that, and yet did end up becoming very powerful later into the game. His early game reads have been poor. And I think in game 2 as well, his Sejuani falling behind in laning phase, not really gaining much out of the pick, was also a negative. Anyone's Legend as a whole unit, their individual form has been temperamental.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. Gold lead pretty much even now. WE with early advantages in the objectives. They got themselves that set of grubs. That feels pretty good. And they are, again, the team that realistically is going to have a lot more damage as the game goes on. A few more options to play out those fights. Whereas AL, it's all about single target blowing up someone huge and then being able to play from that man advantage. If you don't do that, or you get the wrong target, or it just gets late enough, bluntly, that killing one person isn't enough, then things will get challenging still.
Hope is going to be a monster though once he pops in this cold. The fact that he got that first blood, I think that Hope actually, he's one of the people which I won't be criticizing as much for this series. I think his first game one on the Kai'Sa was good. Yes, look, the Jhin wasn't great either. I will say that. Like, no one's had like a great series, folks. I think maybe Kyle, actually. I think Kyle's the one person I think who escapes blame on an individual level for Anyone's Legend. I think his rel was fantastic last game despite the loss. I think game one was completely fine for him too, actually. But really, I think that Hope in this game, having that cull stacking in, going to be completely fine farming up. And with the ability to outplay, it's not easy, but with the ability to, I think he can really start to take over this game. As long as the Aurora doesn't one-shot the Sivir, I think Hope can carry the fights quite easily. There's no one that can really survive the ricochets.
It's a challenge. Well, the opportunity to help clear out some of this vision. Step towards the Scuttle Crab. Still first dragon of the game. Paranoia. Nature's Grasp all coming in at once. Exhaust goes on down on top of the Nocturne. But so much damage as the Dawning Shadow follows the Maokai ultimate. They've lost the Pantheon Cube now. Getting Shanks caught inside the Dark Procession. Kyle's likely going to die as they go between worlds. Where is the damage? It's just not there.
Hope was around the back of the Dragon Pit as Anyone's Legend looked to fight, and their damage in the Sivir was not in place. Anyone's Legend, what has happened to our LPL champions? On the other side, WE pick up another important set of kills, and much like game 2, it feels like they're pulling ahead of the game now in important ways. Vampire's going to walk forwards again. I don't think this is a real kill threat. This is just annoyance, really. Let's be honest. It is a Cho'Gath. You're not going to be killing this guy, especially as the Senna. But what the hell is happening with the mid-jungle of Anyone's Legend? Of course, Kyle there. Going down to Anyone's Legend approaching these fights at such a poor angle, ulting into bot side, no flash on Vampire if they can catch him.
I think he may well likely be dead. Slowed down, Bramble Splash comes on forwards, the Rupture comes on down, trying to flash on out. There's still a potential W, but he does get out to safety.
I thought he didn't have that flash because I saw the icons there. Kyle, can you hit the hook?
Needs to find a good one, just gets the knock up into the hook after. Flash is just not gonna work.
What? Saying it did work. It flashed forwards into the hook, but he ended up killing the Kyle. So he ends up flashing forward to get the kill.
That's wild.
Andre, oh god, what the hell is happening? Taeyeon, after such an awful start, 4-1-2, really recovering well. We were criticizing Taeyeon and Vampire for their laning phase, which was very poor, but their skirmishes have been much, much better. And Vampire and the Maokai, a champion which we didn't exactly highlight from him that much, as Kyle chose to body block the Maokai ultimate. Maybe he could have just left Tarzan for dead. I don't think he was making it out of that one. I think they give up an extra early kill. Tarzan, for someone I would think was on shortlist for MVP, on so many people's lists throughout his regular split, last split, and of course into the playoffs. 4 series from him too, and now suddenly 2,500 gold lead, WE with objective lead, and Anyone's Legend floundering. They're panicking, and WE, a team which, you know, a surprise top 4 from last split, after a great start here, even though they are 0-3 in series.
And it feels like every fight at the minute, AL are getting pounced on by the triple global, right? The Paranoia into the Nature's Grasp, into the Dawning Shadow means that even though they're like exhausting this Pantheon, like, AL just aren't there in time, and people are getting split off, and if you're not there in the death ball, WE's time to collapse on a part of it is really, really quick.
So you really need Hope with his Sivir ultimate on call to answer to that, because it can help you get into reposition. He does have his Yuntal. Hook will land onto Vampire. Doesn't have flash, but there's 0 follow-up, sadly. We'll be able to get another one there. We'll tank up the sapling. Of course, it's not an AP Maokai, because it's support. Won't be able to get nearly as much. Hope about to cash in his Cull. That'll be important to keep Karis caught out with a little bit of damage, but let's be honest, I don't think there's a real kill threat here. Oh, Heartsteel, actually. Hang on.
Ow, and there's a Rupture. Forces a flash out of Karis. Turn around, though. Paranoia comes on forwards. Tarzan gets over the wall with the Blasco. Nature's Stalk comes on down. Nature's Grasp now down as well. How far does WE want to go? But that's now their globals down ahead of... Oh, the hook! So now Taeyeon with no flash, hit by the rocket grab.
Oh, Kyle, that was peak Blitzcrank gaming. Ends up getting the hook out of Fog. Was that blind? I think that might have been blind. Was there vision there? I don't think there was.
No, you think he just hit for the hook?
We need to see a replay of that, because if Kyle just hit a blind hook onto the Senna with no flash, to secure
nice.
the objective and get the kill. That is insane.
I hope we do get the replay, because I think it might have been. I'm not seeing any wards anywhere, and there's control
Well, that's
wards
the thing.
all about.
I was like, okay, he had the hit to hook, blah, blah, blah. And then I was like, I don't see any wards there. I think that was blind. We need a replay this, and I really hope that we do. Herald secured for anyone's legend. The kill goes onto them as well. Now you get Hope going back out onto the board with having his Cole stacked in as well.
Found a couple cooldowns. If he doesn't respect the Feral Scream or the Rupture, things could have got interested there. Not interesting there, especially with that flash already being blown by Flandre, but doesn't end up overstepping their bounds there. Do be careful of those bushes when you're shoving in, folks. The top laners with CC combos can do quite a lot of work from that. Need to all that much. There's Monkey getting highlighted right now, understandably so. He's been very good over the last couple games. That Skarner last game was excellent. Gonna get towards this tier 1 turret. There's 1,000 gold towards WE.
But I think we're getting towards the point now where it gets harder to play for W, because the Sivir is getting online, and the Sivir is just going to be so hard for you to deal with, partly because if the Yorick gets into a fight, his Ghouls and his Maiden give extra targets for the ricochets to bounce off of, which can sometimes give extended range to bounce off to the rest of the team. Tibbers can actually be a big problem with that too at some points too, if you're playing against Danny, obviously is on this team. But one of those weird things where you don't always think about in the moment, but ricochet damage is going to be utterly disgusting. Flicker Blade's second item completed for Hope. He'll have more uptime on that too. And while the center is strong, and I think WE still have a lot of power to play around, they need to find a way to make sure that Hope is not doing the damage. Luckily for them, anyone's legend have been taking care of that for them so far. So they've been taking fights away from the Sivir, out of position, getting jumped on by the triple globals. But now he has flash, ult, 2 items. I don't think that's going to be as applicable for the next fights, such as this dragon in the next 20 seconds.
I might contend it's been WE that's been picking the fights away from the Sivir. They're the ones who've been pulling the trigger more regularly than AL. WE get the Infernal Dragon spawn in the river right now, but AL much more tightly grouped this time.
Shanks being half HP is a big problem here. My dude, you can't be sat around at this kind of HP. I mean, if you can get his combo off, I suppose it's useful. Herald summon in mid lane, which will force W to potentially respond to that.
He rooted up Shanks there with that last embrace. Could have been a bit difficult. Actually, the jumping onto characters go across the Veil. Nature's Grass, door, and the
triple Johnny Shadow.
Yeah, it does get across there. That means the dragon is like just WE's.
Yeah, so anyone's legend, they'll use the Herald in mid lane instead, not buying into that fight. Can they kill the turret? I don't think they can. They went a little too slow. There's the Between Worlds.
Damage onto Hope, who flashes away. Grand Star
top lane.
Top side to jump onto this Yorick, who flashes away. Possession comes on through Ruptures there. Tarzan buying time, flash on out from him. And they can't get a range for the Rupture that's already been used anyway. What about the rest of the play? They do get the rocket grab. Monkey flashes out, staying alive. Kyle, though, low. Shanks hit up with that last embrace. WE get out alive, but so do AL.
Good hook. Yeah, the feast wasn't available for Cho'Gath, so he couldn't end up... Yeah, the Rupture that was used in that combo, yes, but the feast wasn't there. Cube does blow that flash, but gets it out of Tarzan after boxing him under that turret. Tower doesn't fall for WE. I think WE still come out ahead of that play, because they don't lose any kills. They end up getting the dragon, and they don't lose the mid lane turret.
Too.
Besides the Herald being used... with the Herald being used from anyone's legend.
That's the one. They do get some value there. And yeah, I think I managed to disturb Alex's flow there. WE with getting that dragon also got free to strength as the additional bonus there was what I tried to insert into that. WE now up 1,000 gold with that free to strength. 3-0 on this Aurora. Taeyu, despite getting hooked kind of egregiously a couple times this game, is still at 58 stacks in 19 minutes, so scaling just fine, got a couple items. It is going to be a problem. The Dawning Shout, I think perhaps both of us underestimating the power of the AoE globals from WE against AL when they're looking for picks or are being picked themselves, actually. There's a lot of value from that on WE's side. Now Atakan is spawning WE around and about that objective.
Again, gold is even enough, so no team is kind of blowing out gold value. Shanks misses a minion with his Q there. Nice. Shanks, what has happened to this player? Vampire does have Flash Force to use it. Good angle there by Kyle, who I think largely has been the better support this series. Not that Vampire's had a bad one, I just think Kyle's actually been very good despite the struggles of anyone's legend. That's kind of what we've come to know of Kyle, though. I think he has been the best support within the LPL recently. Going up towards the mid lane push, I mean, I suppose you can just ricochet the wave down. Do some decent damage through from that too. Doesn't have Infinity Edge yet for it to really start stinging with the extra threat value, of course. Kyle looking potentially for another hope. Please don't Hex Flash over the wall. Oh, he does it. Oh, gets the spell shield. It is a knockdown, in fairness.
Yeah, nice idea looking for it. Taeyun getting that little shove up there. Has Hope burned his ultimate? He has.
Dude, I mean, yeah, that's a decision of all time. I mean, obviously, I don't have the headphones on, so I can't hear that.
I couldn't hear it being popped, so I assume it was popped earlier.
Well,
I heard the Hex Flash coming on.
Yeah, no, you could see the particle effect, so it was popped at that moment. Yeah. It's on cooldown now, and now suddenly no Sivir ult potentially for, I mean, Atakan fight could come around. Kyle, oh, hang on a second. No flash this time, remember. Does have that teleport, so we can get back out onto the map. Flandre getting towards the point where the Yorick becomes more of an issue. He does have only 5 stacks on his ultimate, so it's not maxed out in terms of the minion ones. I don't know whether he managed to get it on anything else, because of course the first grub you take also counts that. The Herald does too, the big objectives. Atakan potentially could be started up again in the next few moments. We've got
Here we go.
No Sivir ult coming through. Atakan started. Top lane is not here.
Tarzan can join in that way. We'll have to do that to get here in time, I think. Down about half HP. AL very lacking in the vision. Hex Flash angle from Kyle. Decides to go towards the side. Down to 9k. Not being done that fast right now by WE.
Teleporting in from Cho'Gath. Yorick left alone in topside. W are tanking this and they will get the resist shred. Karis misses the combo. That could have been a great shotgun.
Tarzan on the other side, can he find an angle on in? In comes the Paranoia. Nature's Grasp, not the best angle. It's Kyle, ends up body blocking and likely dies. Flash forward! Stun comes on down. Aurora down for the count, but the damage back on forward is still pretty good. They finally kill off the Blitzcrank. There's 2 for 2 as it stands. Down is going the Atakan. Taeyun untouched. Atakan secured. Fight after getting bloody messy. It's a triple kill to Cube, who's TP'd in. Flandre has to flash on out.
Hope is also untouched and gets some good damage, but yeah, it's the center which really ends up making the difference. Midway through that fight, Anyone's Legend made the choice to kill the Atakan instead of looking for the fights. They get the objective, but they'll lose the tower, and they'll give a ton of damage over towards, a ton of gold rather, over towards the Yorick. Anyone's Legend start things off, sadly, with not a great combo from Kyle. The silence doesn't last long enough to get the full combo through. The spell shield comes out onto the hook, and basically the Blitzcranks have achieved nothing in this fight besides buying spell shield. Trade of mid laners as Shanks goes in to kill one, gets pounced on by the Nocturne on the other side of it. And then, yeah, it really is just to AL saying, let's just kill the Atakan. We don't really win the fight afterwards. 10 completely untouched. Means that they walk away with a 4 for 3.
Indeed, and Hope got some good ricochets through various things there, but still ended up losing a lot of HP. And again, Taeyun, as you noted, wasn't touched. Cube TP's in, gets a triple kill. Now he's ahead in goal. He was behind a long way, not anymore. There's that goal, that potential win rate right now for W looking pretty good. Hextech Dragon has spawned, and it'll be WE looking to set up around it.
Dragon spawning now, but the big thing is, you know, the Atakan does give extra combat stats over to Anyone's Legend as well. Grand scheme of things, 4 for 3 and the Atakan, you can argue Anyone's Legend actually come out ahead from that. Hope still has his flash, has ult, WE. Do have the smites on the Maokai actually for the extra double smite potential and objectives.
For that one, Flandre, of course, still with that feast can make things a bit interesting as well. So I suppose if Kyle switches over, it could be double smite plus feast for AL, which could get a bit tricky to manage.
Very true. Yeah, Cho'Gath has got a decent amount of HP now, has 6 stacks, of course, got that final kill, a final killing blow onto Karis with his ult too. So that's one which is that's a unique one that will not go towards the 6 cap on minions. They start the Dragon up, not the best terrain for them. Hard to play against Maokai on bot side, blue side. Sanarok using very early.
Hang on, Monkey got hooked! He's dead! They lose the Paranoia Inducer. AL now looking for some more value. Jump on forward with the shield vault. It's going to be interrupted. Great rupture. Double rupture means that that's more people going on down. They lose the Bunny Rabbit. A triple kill to Hope, and AL finally get a clean team fight.
The Atakan slows being instrumental there. Rarely is the Atakan slow seen as kind of this team fight winner in pro play, but right there, getting the extra slow across the Maokai gets the extra kill, gives them the extra kill. Dragon will be taken down. No soul point for WE, and Anyone's Legend off the back of a Blitzcrank hook manages to get a huge objective win.
Turrets down. AL find themselves back even in the gold state. Or who that really ends up favouring in the grand scheme of things. They've got a lot of those petals, which is good. They're getting a lot more gold in the Sivir. This is great. There's an extra win condition. As we said, look, WE actually, you know, they are the ones with the slightly better team comp as the game gets later, but hook onto Monkey. It's blind. Or rather, it's blind for Monkey, who can't see into that river, and ends up being the one punished for it.
And this is the guy that should be tanking the hooks because he has the spell shield, but stepping forward back up into Step back forwards into the Rupture. That's not great from Karis. I actually think Karis had a good game. I think his last game too on the Rise was good. Only really game 1, which was a problem on the Talia, I suppose, which even then... There have been series we've had more complaints about Karis. I think he's actually been okay across all 3 games. We're right there. Not what they need. This clean feed, just stuttering a little bit. Reminder that hello. Oh no, there we go. Clean feed's back up on again. We'd just like to wave here. Just like to make sure that I guess the clean feed has just died a little bit. So we'll go back into hopefully see when the media source keeps kicking back in. Hopefully we'll be back again soon.
It's just us for now. Give it a second or two. I can hear pings. There's definitely noise coming. That means we are coming back on in. And the clean feed just decided it was going to dip out for a second so you get to see us. But we are now back.
3 items sit it. Infinity Edge in. This is the game over state for WE. If Cope gets a couple of auto attacks down, the Ricochet will do the rest of the work. There is no hyper tank to stop that Ricochet doing crazy amounts of damage. He hasn't had to dip off for Lord Dominic's regards. Of course, he'll get that largely at some point anyway. But this 3 item combo against Squishies shreds HP bars.
Will be, of course. So keep your eyes on Taeyun. 79 stacks. Another stack will get him. And I think he'll get this off the camp anyway. Get some value. Good work there as they head over the back end of Baron being spawned. Not too much more to be seen.
Yorick has a decent side lane advantage now. But Flandre, level 16. Had to cut a ton of stacks to him. Has a Thornmail in too. Yorick is not cleanly winning this matchup. I say that. He's behind in CS. Gets the push, but not really able to do that much with it. You can't force Cho'Gath away from turrets or anything like that. With Baron up, Q being on the Yorick, which is the chip pick he's played him, but is the shotgun over the wall going to come in? It is. But the E's going to nice some of that damage. Knocks it. Where's that go? Hang on a second. It's going to mid lane.
Oh, lots and lots and lots.
Where's the
of
flash?
You don't want to flash, and it's going to be so much damage.
Where is your flash? She doesn't flash. Pantheon comes back in, but you've lost your AD carry already. Hope, you are the core of this comp. You must flash to break the fear tether. Maybe afraid that Monkey would do the same, but I don't think you can stand there without using it.
Decides not to burn it, means he'll have it up for the dragon fight, I suppose, in a couple minutes. Maybe just saying, look, I don't want to burn the flash right now when it's a 50-50, they're not going down, we're not working.
But this opens up the Baron now for WE. They take the mid lane out of turret with Hope being down. WE, Monkey, magnificent jump into the mid lane, forcing the mistake out of Hope. But the Baron's not been started just yet.
Not started. And again, we saw they weren't the fastest objective takers with this comp. Maybe AL just saying, look, we don't think you can actually start the Baron here, even with the AD carry diff.
Maybe they're just afraid of the feast flash and the effectively triple smite, as you were talking about before. The spellbook smite was in for Kyle. It is dangerous to do that, and you'd be stuck in the pit against, the Annie, even though the Annie's behind. But how the hell does this pick come through? So he's walking out way too far, uses the ult, spell shield comes through, and you could flash to break the fear tether right there, chooses not to. Hope, you cannot afford to make mistakes like that in a determining game 3.
With the spell shield down, I wonder whether Vampire's ult coming across, it wouldn't have mattered even if he did flash.
You had the rest of the move speed from your ultimate. I think it would have made all the difference. Not having that fear there at least would allow you to stand and fight, because you can still auto-attack in the Maokai ultimate. Baron spawning now, being taken rather by Annual's Legend.
Over the back goes Karis, looking to come on through. There goes the Paranoia onto Shanks, who flashes and breaks that tether. Procession comes on down, Nature's Grasp comes on down. Taeyun still with the ult, Karis still with the ult.
And the Mikhail's used weirdly. Everyone lining up for the Maokai ultimate. 3 roots coming through. Flandre, very tanky, but I mean, Aurora does pretty well at killing them actually on the whole. We'll need to make sure they get some regen for somewhere. Might recall back. AL not cleanly taking the Baron. Do buy some ultimates from WE. Tarzan caught a little bit here, but we'll dodge the shotgun.
Can indeed. Now actually means with W getting massive shove through mid lane, Cube's like to get this tier 2. Did pull WE from their setup on around the dragon. Turret goes down, nicely secured there.
W just getting some passive value, and they can get the dragon from this. Absolutely true. I mean, the Sivir ult was burned in that last play because Hope used that on the retreat. And Annual's Legend, I thought they were in a fantastic point for their itemization. They are still behind a good amount of gold, and they're not cleanly finding the entrance into plays, which allows Karis to occasionally angle for this shotgun. Taeyun's got himself 87 stacks. It's not that bad on that front either. 3 items, Infinity Edge.
Yeah.
Makes it nasty. Dragon will go down. Anyone's Legend. I guess they could just start the Baron right now, knowing that the Paranoia is just off cooldown. Coming up only in 5 seconds, though, and they're not fully committing to it.
He's got the Hex play. It's so easy. Hook goes on down, trying to turn this one around and draw to play. Cube going to be shielded up by the Dawning Shadow. Is in a lot of danger. Has to flash on out. Vampire now very deep as well. Is slowed up. Celestial Opposition goes on down. Flashes outside of the Rupture.
Hope no ultimate just yet. They can't keep chasing, but flash off a Cube is nice. but they don't get themselves the objective.
Monkey! And he gets the hook on. He flashes over the wall. It means nothing. Sterak's is gone, and they'll be able to turn onto the Baron.
And that'll be the game. That'll be the game-defining mistake. Sadly, I think that Monkey's been playing very well on the Nocturne actually this game, finding picks where it's very hard to do so. Managed to get that ultimate to kind of put AL into a point of fear where they thought he was closer than he was, but he doesn't end up turning to the fight. Anyone's Legend call the bluff. They will get that feast onto the objective, and Anyone's Legend will get themselves what should be a game-ending buff. I don't see WWE dealing with the Baron buff that well.
QSS just picked up for Hope. Got Flash, got Barrier. Look to get another turret here. Can AL their second of the game. Not a lot going down. It's not being clean stuff. The 0-2 versus 0-3 squads. Definitely got some stuff to work on here. Anyone's Legend, the hangover from their international jaunt, still giving them a bit of a headache in these games.
So Monkey, I mean, he thinks he's going over control. There's literally a minion spotting you going across there. Control ward does not save you. Tarzan knows you are there. Great flash engage from him. Goes into that Blitzcrank, the Pantheon Blitzcrank combo. Obviously nice, that point and click into the hook. And now Hope has a QSS too, which can help him break fear tethers, the Maokai ultimate. I actually think Vampire's been pretty good on the Maokai into late game.
Yeah, he has.
His laning phase left a lot to be desired, but actually, considering that this is a second string champion for him, I think he's given a lot of issues over towards Anyone's Legend.
The ults have been good.
With the ults, he's been angling them well, so credit to him. His champion pool's oft been criticized, but here I don't think it was the issue. Kyle, want to try and look for a hook over the wall. Out of range for the ultimate, gets the hook into the spell shield.
Nice idea, though. I appreciate the attempt. It's not the longest cooldown, so going picking for those kind of things can matter. Cube being threatened here.
Flash.
And they're going to try and jump onto him. Paranoia's available. May look to turn this around, but it might be a little bit too little, a little too late. Cube is squared again. Monkey in danger. Might be returning to his namesake. He's doing so as the ricochets are flying on through everyone. Taeyu needs to run away. Last Embrace is a minion. Vampire in danger. Dawning Shadow comes across. Tarzan will take the turret shot and die, but happy to trade his life out for the Aurora. Taeyu and Vampire need to back away now. The bot lane on 20% HP between them need to run away.
3 for 1 for Anyone's Legend, and in the Baron buff's remaining minute, 5,000 gold Baron play right now. They should be able to finish the game. Was it clean? No, but it will get Anyone's Legend on the board, and WE will be ending their start to this split 0-4 in series.
Nice little twisted advanced tech there to avoid the hook, but it means very little in the face of your Nexus turret going on down. Stunt on him while you can, but you're stunting on him while your base at home is on fire. Taeyu, hang on. He's just going to end up getting flashed on by Hope. Took a few with him, and the HP damage was good, but it isn't enough heroics at the back end of it all. And the only thing hanging is their hats up as the game is lost. Well, what a weird old game that was. Back and forth and back again, a game of throws. But in the end, it is AL throw a little less and find themselves with some nice severe team fighting to win out the game.
Shorter day for us here. Only the one series, folks. Reminder that the second series today, Invictus Gaming versus Billy Gaming, is postponed due to a typhoon within the Shanghai area. So that will be postponed until August the 28th. So basically the end of the split to fit it at the end of our regular season. So yes, that will be our only series today. A short one, very rare to say that here in the LPL. But thank you everyone for joining us. My name is Nymaera, joined by Initialise. We're brothers, we cast the LPL, and we hope you've enjoyed this this series that we've brought to you today and our casting of it. Of course, we do this without getting paid. Our only support for doing this is you watching us, subscribing, liking, helping us with the algorithm, and hopefully unlocking stuff like sponsorships through viewership numbers and stuff like that in the future. Hope you've enjoyed it, and yeah, WE, another game, another series where they have, you know, some flashes of what they showed last split, but their individual forms have been about the place. I think their drafts have been a lot more questionable.
Yeah.
And their play around objectives, particularly this split, has been much worse than last split. Because right there around the Dragon and the Baron, initially thought, oh, there's a winning angle, but they don't quite manage to clutch on it, and there's one individual misplay which causes the house of cards to come tumbling down.
Yeah, and it does feel a lot about like individual people getting picked up, not respecting the globals in that game 3 particularly. Game 1, it was like, hang on, target selection, Shanks can't get caught out like that. I think, honestly, guys, a few days off, a little bit of chance to reset. They came in white hot, having just done effectively, you know, what was it, 3 weeks abroad, and have to come straight back, having been in, what, 2-3 countries over the space of however long, to come and play straight away. It's always going to be a tricky schedule to come slotting back in with meta changes and all the rest of it, and it showed a little bit. They're not that prepped, they aren't that rested. Shanks looks exhausted. this isn't the AL I expect to see again in, say, 2 weeks' time. But right now, it's messy, and it is showing, and rightly they are getting criticised, but you do have to add that caveat that I don't think this is them at full strength either.
Absolutely not. So W will start the split 0-4 after finishing top 4 for the first time since 2021 in the last split. Anyone's Legend do claim their first series victory to go to 1-2 in their first 3 series after losing to BLG and Invictus Gaming. But yeah, that is a lot of questions for Team WE. I think that they've struggled to refine their form and their confidence, and their individual player form has been well up and down. I think this series Monkey was quite poor comparative to normal. I think that his Skarner was good. I think his game 1 and his game 3 were poor. I think that Karis, game 1 was poor, game 2 and 3 was actually pretty good. Taeyun, mixed bag. Actually, I think his game 3 on the center outside of laning phase was very good.
Vampire, made the Caitlyn work.
Yeah, Vampire, I think was actually pretty solid all 3 games. Cube, okay. Yeah.
The Scion was good.
Yeah, the Scion was good. I think the Yorick wasn't bad either. I just think W is an overall team unit. I think that the drafts have been concerning to me across all of their series. I think that their objective play and their macro has been really off. Like, I don't like the way that they play around side lanes. I think that when Cube needs extra resources, Vampire never moves to that lane, which is often the person, or of course Monkey as well. But Monkey and Vampire do not move to side lanes when Cube needs it. And then just someone makes a brain fart around all the big objectives. Someone does. This time it was Monkey. Before it's been a whole bunch of other people, you know?
Yeah, you can sort of see it there, right? Like, Shanks didn't do a lot this game, but then Hope did, and Flandre did.
Yeah. What's your plan after
I'm
this
going to do a little bit of streaming, I think, when I get before. We got D&D this evening, which should be good fun.
All right, so we're going to go radio over to Sam on his stream from Twitch in a little bit. If you're on YouTube, the show will end here. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us, though.